World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Hello, good evening, and welcome on this cold Friday night, which can only mean one thing. It's the World Pro Racing HyperX Open Series. We are already, if you can believe it, on round number 7. Tonight we head off to Imola, and joining me tonight, my name is David Christie, and alongside me in the virtual commentary booth is Simon Zammit. Simon, a very good evening, my friend. This is a brave new world, isn't it?
Definitely. Good evening, David. First of all, lovely to meet you for the first time on this broadcast. Very interesting to have to meet someone and talk to them virtually. You are Scottish? Are you currently in Scotland?
I have not decided yet. Yes, I'm from Scotland in the United Kingdom. We don't say that publicly, but yeah, I've been sort of here, there, and everywhere in terms of esports commentary. New to the fold here at World Pro Racing, but definitely recognising a lot of the names that we had out here in the HyperX Open Series. As always, we have to say a huge thank you to our commercial partners, without who this would not be possible in any sense whatsoever. First offly, to Gaming Malta, as well as AMD, HyperX, GTA Mega Racing, Thrustmaster, and to all of our lovely audiences on Esports Television, on motorsport.tv, and as well on TVM Sport. But Simon, obviously you're over there in Malta just now, and it is really a really eclectic mix that we have here in this HyperX Open Series.
Definitely. You know, we have racers from all over the world participating, which is always a really fun thing to kind of talk about, to say that we have built who want to take part and compete for small prizes and just the fun of racing. It's incredible.
Now, one of the other things is obviously coming from other Assetto Corsa Competition championships that I've commentated on. Fantastic to see a lot of the big names still in here. Obviously, last time out at Zolder, it was Harry Spears taking the win from the likes of Callie Atkins. But you've also got big names such as Tinko van der Velde competing as well. And I know, Simon, you've had an eye over some of the previous rounds of the championship, but tonight we move to Imola, and that is an incredible, incredible circuit, isn't it?
Yes, it really is. You know, you talk about one of the classic circuits from like the Formula 1 sphere and just racing in general. Imola is incredible and should be an interesting race. Obviously, it may be a little more difficult to pass around certain corners, but I think we have enough talent in the field that it shouldn't be too much of a problem for them.
And the other thing as well is you are our man on the inside at World Pro Racing. What sort of events have we got coming up in the next couple of weeks?
Well, the most recent one coming up is next Wednesday. We're having a casual Formula 3 race. I, off the top of my head, do not remember the track, which is very bad of me. But yeah, it's a casual Formula 3 race, so it'll be interesting to see Formula cars, which in my time here, I've been here since about August only, so I haven't actually seen Formula cars race around, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of unique challenge they bring as opposed to the GT3 cars that we tend to race.
Road America, I believe, is the
yes, you are
track that they're going to be at. So I'm only saying that because I've got our production team in the background. We've got Justin giving us all of the information, as always. Practice. Exactly. Practice is underway at the moment. Just to remind you of the lineup for tonight, because we have two races, don't we? We've got the 30-minute sprint race and the 60-minute feature race coming up tonight. And Simon, what sort of pressure do you think that puts on the driver in terms of taking the result from one race over into the next?
Well, obviously, drivers earn points for both, but the two races are two completely different challenges. In the 30-minute sprint, it's drive as fast and as consistent as you can and make it to the end. Whereas in the 1 hour race, you have a lot more strategy involved. There's a mandatory pit stop phase, so you have to account for what other drivers are going to do, as well as while managing your own tires and your own fuel. So it can be tricky. We have seen it in times drivers who do really well in the sprint race kind of falter in the feature, or vice versa. But we've equally seen drivers who've just been on it from lap 1 of practice and have never really had a challenge. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but it always offers an exciting challenge and an exciting viewership.
Well, a very good evening to our audience over on YouTube as well, to Nathan Villa, to Kiyu, and everybody else that's watching. But Simon, let's head over trackside then, as we have got the remainder of free practice underway just now. Now, this is Unisalv Leinen. We see him in many other championships, takes part in the Griphax engineering team, and he is out by himself then in the and I'm not sure if that's just, we're not sure what team he's in, or if that is team question mark, the international man of mystery in the number 100. But again, Simon, the names that are up here are some of the names that we see in the cutting edge of Assetto Corsa Competizione Esports Championships, likes of the number 121 of Luke Whitehead here.
Absolutely, you know, and even here at World Pro Racing, we've seen so many of these drivers come here, perform so well, and even if they haven't necessarily won the race or won the series, it's so good to always see them coming back, always see them fighting again and again.
And that's the great thing about this, is obviously you're just on the start of your esports commentary career, Simon, and I can tell you from experience, it's fantastic when you get to the point where you sound like you know what you're talking about, because it gives you quite a lot of confidence. It takes a couple of months, but yeah, it's a great place to be. Watching Dare McCormack here for the Williams Esports team, the number 14 AMG just now. The AMG seems to be quite a popular car here tonight, making up, what's that, 5 of the 14 cars here. I'm very much a Mercedes AMG man myself. I do love the layout of that car. It seems to be very, very planted, but in some of the races it doesn't seem to be as fast as the Aston Martin. Yeah,
obviously these drivers would have done quite some practice, so I seem to have, I think it is 6 actually, Mercedes for driving. There may be some merit to that, maybe this is the fastest car. Personally, literally purely based on aesthetics, I'm more of a McLaren fan, but when it comes to the actual driving, obviously each car has its own characteristics, it has its own strengths and weaknesses. So it'll be interesting to see how they stack up, and if the 6 drivers in Mercedes have made the right choice.
Well, we'll certainly find out. They've certainly got the odds of the numbers on their side. Dermot Cormack currently second place, just 6/100ths of a second off of Callie Atkins in the 210 Bentley. 1:40.701 is her fastest time just now. And Callie, with 11 minutes to go, what we normally find with Callie is that they'll jump into pit lane and they'll likely leave it till about 5 or 6 minutes left to go. And then Dare McCormack will be chipping away, I think, trying to get that gap down. But normally in qualifying, we see it down to about 5 or 6 minutes left to go, and then all hell breaks loose.
Definitely, you know, these drivers want to wait until the absolute last moment when the track has as much rubber as it's going to get. It's going to be as fast as it's going to be in that session, because that's the time they're going to have the best opportunity to push for the fastest lap and push for the high positions. It's obviously they're setting bank laps now, but really that's the high risk, high reward element to it, where if they make a mistake on that lap, they kind of have to sink the teeth into it and just understand that, well, the other driver's going to get faster laps, so I have to do more work in the race. So really to see how hard they push, how careful they are, maybe, if they want a stable track position but want to set themselves for the race. It's always a fun challenge.
Absolutely. So we're on board then with Dare McCormack. Let's have a look, and we'll actually stay on board with Dare to give you a little idea of the track. This is coming up the run towards the chicane at Variante Alta, and then it will be down through the right and left one. This is a very difficult chicane as well, because you don't want to take too much of the curb on the right hand side here, and it catches me out quite considerably. I do enjoy pretending to be competent at sim racing when I'm very far from actually being that. But down into Ravazza then comes Dare McCormack, and we'll actually take you on board then with a full lap here. This is where the lap really begins. It's that exit from Ravazza and along this long sweeping right-hander to start another lap, as we see Luke Whitehead actually jumping up into second place there, 3/100ths of a second behind Callie Atkins, and now you've got 3 cars within 1/10 of a second down on the brakes then into Tamburello, the left, and then the right-hander here. Again, wonderful, wonderful speed getting taken through on this Mercedes AMG of Dare McCormack here on the run down into Villeneuve. And again, a very, very easy corner from the looks of it, but so simple to take that gravel trap on the left-hand side. On the brakes into this tight left-hander called Tulsa. up through the gears then, second at the moment, third gear. And it's on the run uphill towards Piratella. Another deceptively looking left-hander here, where you do have to let off and brake a little bit more than you actually think you do here on the run down through Aqua Minerale. And again, a very tight right-hander here, and it's a run up the hill there. That is so easy to do, where you take the extra runoff there, Simon, and you almost certainly invalidate your lap as he comes up to Variante Alta. But Simon, I mean, a lot of flashpoints here, and one of the tracks I think that makes it very difficult for overtaking, because the corners are almost too narrow for the two cars to go side by side. But momentum is going to be so key tonight, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, I'll talk about the track limits issue for a second first, but as we saw, it's so easy to just make a little mistake, maybe hit a curb too hard, maybe just take a bit too much speed, run wide, and as soon as you're off the white line, your lap's invalidated, so you're going to have to go again. As for overtaking, as you're saying, the corners are very tight, it's a very narrow track here. But what does kind of help these cars is that there are a couple of occasions where they can get up some speed and maybe try outbraking their competitors. But you have to have a lot of confidence on your brakes and a lot of trust in your tyres to do that. It's not going to be easy whatsoever.
It really is not. As we see Unisalv then in the 100s, currently in 5th position, a whole 1 second off of the time of Callie Atkins, 141.7 there for Unisalv just coming down the hill through Variante Alta and then into Ravazza. This is really going to be the optimal time now for times getting set here, with just 7 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in the session. Simon, track temperature and track conditions here, we have to take a minute to talk about that, because 31 degrees air temperature, 39 degrees track temperature. What sort of effect do you think that's going to have on the tyres and on the tyre life for when we come into the 60-minute race?
Well, 39 degrees was pretty much the temperature in Malta over the summer, so I can tell you from experience, it is hell. The tyres are going to be screaming as much as I was in August.
It boggles my mind. So obviously I'm over here in the UK, and I think the most I've ever had to deal with is like 25, 26. That's a really good summer's day here in Scotland. So 39, I can't imagine, let alone yourself, but the tyres must take an absolute hit in terms of performance with the temperatures. And given that it's a very tight technical circuit and a very fast circuit, I imagine this must be very punishing for the cars and for the tyres.
Absolutely. And you know, talking about the feature race specifically, and when it comes to that pit stop phase, the drivers who choose to go longer and have fresher tyres for the end of the race are going to have to really conserve them during the opening phase, so they might be a little slower, they might be more susceptible to getting overtaken. Meanwhile, in the sprint race, if a driver gets caught up in battle for too long, he could really eat up his tyres and then have nothing to defend with come the closing stages.
I mean, while we were talking there, we completely missed something. Darren McCormack with an absolute monster of a lap there, 140.314, going 4/10 quicker than he did before and taking pole position by almost 4/10 of a second. Callie Atkins has been absolutely rattled with that one, but Darren McCormack seemingly out of nowhere for the Williams Esports team fires it on the pole with just 5.5 minutes left to go. Luke Whitehead and Unisalv are going to be trying to go again. In fact, Luke Whitehead is currently one of the only ones in the top 5 still out there on track as Darren McCormack comes back out again. But I mean, 140.3 seemingly out of nowhere, Simon. That is a time to beat and a half.
Definitely, that's an absolutely incredible lap. And as we were talking again, Savalainen has set a time not as fast as David McCormack's, but is closing in on the top 3. So it'll be interesting to see, as you're saying, the final 5 minutes. This is where the track's going to be getting to its most grippy. The drivers are going to be pushing as hard as they can, just to kind of have the bragging rights of practice. So it'll be interesting to see how much further those times drop. Do we think between practice and qualifying we might get into the 139s? Because I think we might.
I think you're absolutely spot on with that question there, Simon. I think we're very well might be. Again, it's a case of getting all of the different sectors hooked up absolutely spot on. I think ultimately probably a 1:39.7 is going to be the fastest we're going to see. I wonder if it's maybe too hot to see that sort of time going in, because the oversteer and the sliding that or rather the understeer actually it's going to be if you're sliding, is going to be really intense for these drivers. If it starts cooling down a bit, which it very likely will, given that simulated time is 4:40 p.m. and then the race will most likely be a little bit later than that. It will likely cool down just a little bit, but we're only going to have 3 3/4 minutes left to find out. Here comes Ashton Cox in the 158, one of the only Audis out on the grid just now. Luke Whitehead jumps up into second place then, so improvements are definitely possible. Luke Whitehead doing a 140.6, 6.2 for the 121. So at the moment then, it's a Mercedes 1-2, and they'll be absolutely delighted with that. PPR Esports, Luke Whitehead, we know he's got the talent. We know he's got the skill from the various other championships that he takes part in. But what does Callie Atkins and Unisalv Leinen have to answer? I don't think they have anything at all, because with 3 minutes left, they're still in pit lane.
There is maybe just enough time for them to get out, do a slow cooldown lap and a slow out lap, and then have a final last gasp at the end. But that time is running out, so I don't know if maybe they're satisfied with their performances and just going to wait it out until qualifying. I can't imagine that to be the case, but it is possible. I don't think we'll see Luke Whitehead again this session, unless I eat those words in about 20 seconds. But yeah, Dave McCormack back on track, maybe trying to improve his time, maybe get even more bragging rights as Kirsten LeBayer goes a bit too wide. Will probably have that lap time invalidated, unfortunately. Currently down 13th place. He's a multi driver. I've had the pleasure of meeting him in person, and he's a very sweet guy. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do today.
Well, we'll soon find out in just a second. Kirsten Ebeler for the GT Omega RPM Esports team. That is an interesting line over Variante Alta. I'm not sure the stewards are going to think too kindly of that one, but we'll see if there's any penalties. I doubt it. I think it'll just be a slap of the wrist there as we see Oscar Saristo currently down in P10. And one of the excellent things about this championship as well is obviously for those residing in Malta, if you really like what you see here, you can take part just by popping down to World Pro Racing. They've got the simulators available there. You can just book one of them and head down and go down to take part in person. It's always much nicer when you get to take part in these events and you get to look into the whites of the eyeballs of the people taking part. It's quite quiet there though tonight. I think I'm going to nip down there. I'm just going to go and hop on a flight, Simon. You can take care, and I'll have a little shot. But the other point as well is the fact that all of these races are stewarded by FIA accredited stewards, and where else do you get that? That is just such a cool thing that you know or you have a little bit more confidence in the decisions that are being taken are the right decisions.
Definitely, and we've seen time and time again when a driver does something maybe a little less than legal, the stewards are very quick to make a decision and make a judgment and make sure that the racing we have here is always as clean and fair as it's ever going to be.
And that ultimately is exactly what we are all here for. That's what we like to see, as Oscar Saristo for OSS Racing goes a little bit wide in the Aston Martin, invalidates the lap, and that is going to be qualifying done and dusted for the number 97 car. Tom Otte for Special Racing in the 69, the BMW. This is a car very dear to my heart here, Simon. I love the BMW. It was the first car that I raced in Assetto Corsa Competizione.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, in its current guise, it just doesn't seem to be very competitive.
That is a shame. It is a gorgeous car. I love the pink livery Tom Otte is currently running. We've seen Tom Otte do pretty well in other races, in other of these HyperX series races. So it will be interesting to see if maybe he hasn't set a lap time yet, or maybe not a valid one. So it'll be interesting to see where he can set himself on the grid as free practice is now over. So this is his one and only chance to get a lap time in until qualifying, of course.
A good spread of talent and times going across there. But also, you've got to say the guys who haven't qualified really in a difficult position because they've got, at least, 10 to 12 cars to get past, to navigate past, to get their way onto the podium.
Definitely, and the prizes for this race do go to the podium sitters, so it'll be a challenge if you're starting further back. Not impossible, we have seen it done. In our casual race on Tuesday, the car who started in 6th place ended up finishing 2nd, so nothing's impossible in racing, but it's just a question of doing it and having the tyres and the wherewithal to make it happen.
Well, it is looking increasingly like then that is going to be a pole position for Darren McCormack. A stunning lap there. 140.3 is enough to secure pole position. It's going to be a Mercedes 1-2 with Luke Whitehead in 2nd place. So
was that not the practice session? Isn't qualifying coming up now?
That's a very good point. That was me getting carried away. We'll just blame that on first night nerves. That's what's happened there, Simon. It's fine.
What happened is, with the power of video editing, which we totally have, because this isn't live, it never happened. It didn't happen.
Fine. It's all good. It's all good. But again, it just shows how close the times are going to be, given that was, as you said, free practice. I find it very strange, though, that almost took exactly the same sort of strategy that qualifying does, in the way that, the times come down to, say, 4 or 5 minutes left to go, and then, the really, really fast times, the sort of A-plus times come out. But I wonder if that's maybe they've shown their hand too early with qualifying just round the corner, Simon.
It very easily could be. But at the same time, I imagine that a lot of these drivers are going to want to run a qualifying simulation, so they're going to want to know what they can do in qualifying, even if it's not as far as they can go, even if they held back on like the final corner just to keep a little bit in their pocket. For them, it's a good indication of what they can do in the final minutes of qualifying, as we cut to now, I believe. The drivers getting their early out laps. So yeah,
so we are just moments away from going quali here at Imola for race number 7 of the HyperX Open Series. It's David Christie here alongside Simon Zammit for live coverage of this race. Simon, just before we do go into to quali then, obviously it shows that Luke Whitehead just on the cusp of taking that pole position. Do you think that gives him some more motivation to really push that little bit extra, knowing that he was so close to Darren McCormack there?
Definitely. I think he's going to be looking at those times, seeing and analysing his own his own qualifying pace, and realising where he can maybe make up. I think it was 3 seconds in the end, the deficit, maybe a bit less. But he's going to want to see where he can make up those 3/10 and push as hard as he can to overcome that. Obviously, he doesn't want to start second. He wants to be on pole, as does Carly Atkins, as does Neworth and Otti and all the other names that we see on the left of the screen. They're going to want to push for pole, so they're going to want to try as hard as they can. The issue comes if they try too hard, maybe extend track limits somewhere and get a lap time deleted. But that's up to them to kind of balance how much they push versus how much they restrain themselves, I suppose.
And that is a very good segue into the next bit I was going to talk about, with how seriously a lot of these drivers take these championships now, how seriously they have to, as many of them are racing for esports teams, esports outfits. They race in many championships several times a week. I wonder, is it a case of that it makes it easier for them, I wonder, or does it make it sort of more difficult with the risk of burnout? It's certainly for the likes of Samir Foch and Callie Atkins and Darren McCormack and Luke Whitehead, we see them in multiple championships. And I wonder, Simon, what's your thoughts on this in terms of the amount of, oh my goodness me,
wow.
It's Gergely Kunsabo. That is an absolute brain switch off moment there. I'm really not sure what he was at there. It pulled off to the side, obviously slowing down for his lap there, and just pulled straight into the racing line with no warning whatsoever. That is that's a boneheaded move, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that being looked at the stewards there.
Definitely. I think that's a case of him forgetting that he has rear-view mirrors, which in a car are kind of important, especially in a racing situation when you're going slower than the cars around you.
That is, that's a bit of a fail there for Gregory Kunsabo there in the number 90. No harm, no foul. I think the cab that was involved in that one will just switch straight back to the pits and get back out. But no respite here in terms of times. Callie Atkins straight back to the top then, as we are actually in qualifying, I can assure you, because it says so at the top of the screen. Callie Atkins, 140.731. Luke Whitehead with a 141 right now. So the initial time's coming in. You said it yourself, Simon. These are the banker laps coming in right now. And they're so important, aren't they, these first couple of laps? Because if whatever happens in the next 10 minutes, if you have an absolute stinker of a qualifying session, you've still got these initial laps.
Absolutely, and as you're saying, like they are bank laps, as we saw 1:43s earlier in free practice. So these lap times are going to drop, and they're going to drop for a lot of drivers. So it'll be interesting to see who stacks out on top. And going back to, we were talking about track temperature earlier, it has dropped to 37 degrees, which isn't cool by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a bit less damaging on those tires. So they're going to be able to extract more from them, especially around the high-speed corners.
I'm just watching that track temperature come down, actually. I think for every degree that comes down, I think we're going to be looking at about a 10th ultimately faster that we could get in the top laps, as we see Callie Atkins going across the line again, 140.5. Now that is 1/10 faster, I believe, than her previous qualifying lap, as we see Tom Otte for Special Racing in that BMW coming down. He's going to finally get a lap in, despite not getting a lap in free practice earlier on in the 69 Special Racing BMW. Also, just noticed that the number 9 of Saristo that we were talking about earlier, the only Godzilla in the field tonight, the Nissan GTR, again a fan favourite on the stream, but really doesn't get the love in terms of the competitors taking it out for a spin. I wonder, actually, is that, do you think, as well to do with balance of performance? Does it struggle, do you think, compared to the likes of the AMG and the Aston Martin?
It might do. I think it might just be maybe the track doesn't suit it, so a lot of the drivers have opted not to run it. But it could also be a case of personal preference. You know, we see Samifa is the lone Ferrari, and I believe Tom Otte in the lone BMW. So it could just be a case of they like these cars, even if they're not the ultimate fastest performing, they just want to race the car they like, which, I mean, the most valid. Aesthetics is everything. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Also, Holm in the lone McLaren, which is so sad for my personal biases.
Well, there's always one, you know. To be fair, though, the McLaren is a very, very good-looking car. Do you remember when I said about that we've got FIA accredited stewards that watch all over that? Well, it's just been announced that the number 90, which is Gergely Kuntabo, is getting a 5-second penalty in race for the dangerous move on track. That is absolutely the right decision being taken right there. You have to stamp down on that sort of reckless behaviour in qualifying, given the importance of these qualifying sessions. Slightly surprised, though, that we've only got 10 cars qualifying so far, as Callie Atkins, again, 140.338, goes faster still. Luke Whitehead improves as well, doing a 140.7, but it just shows that track, as the air temperature starts to cool and the track temperature starts to cool as well, those times are going to start tumbling down.
Definitely, and you mentioned that so far not every single car has set a lap time, but they are all on track, so within the next minute or two we will definitely have a time from every driver we have here racing today. Interestingly, McCormack hasn't actually set a time yet, so it'll be interesting to see where he slots himself in. Obviously 4/10 between Whitehead and Atkins at the moment, so a nice little gap for him to hopefully overpass, but we'll see.
Well, it's coming into that time of the qualifying session now. 6.5 minutes left to go of the 7th round of the HyperX Open Series here at Imola. And just watching Ashton Cox in the 158H3 Racing Audi making his way down towards Ravazza to get another lap on the board, but he's still wanting to get his first lap into the books here. Also seeing that Dermot Cormack, as you said, is just out on track just now, just looking for the number 14 to see if I can see him. I think he's just behind the number 88 is Ashton Cox comes across the line. Is it a lap in the books? No, it isn't. So this is going to be an out lap then, or a invalidated lap. Here is Dare McCormack then. This is what all the attention is resting on right now, with 5 minutes left to go in the qualifying session. The Williams Esports driver was fabulous in free practice, where so much so that I actually got confused and thought it might have actually been qualifying, but not to be. Dare McCormack then coming across the pit entry line to start his lap. 5.5 minutes left to go, and it's a lot of pressure to be putting yourself under with 5 minutes left to go. He's already done an out lap there, and there you go, 140.42 for Dare McCormack. That is an absolute lightning bolt across the bow of Callie Atkins, and he's already on another lap just now. This is game on, and we've got a qualifying session.
I believe that's what we call a challenge. Less than a tenth behind Atkins, and going for another lap. As you're saying, we've entered that magical 5-minute mark where we're going to have so many drivers pushing as hard as they can. Keep an eye on those gaps, because they're going to drop, and they're going to drop fast.
Yeah, they really, really are. As we see Daniel Stramer in the GTA Mega RPM esports machine, just trying to navigate, I think that is the politest way possible. I think that might have been the 23 of Pierre May that is just behind him in the other Mercedes just now. We see Otte up into 9th position. I'm just trying to keep an eye, because we did see some changes there. Gergely Kunsabo up into 11th place there. Ashton Cox then up into 8th position now as well. And yeah, this is starting to get a little bit tasty right now. My eyes are on the number 14, who is on his way down into Ravazza. Then here is Dare McCormack for Williams Esports. He's less than a tenth of a second behind Callie Atkins in that 2:10 on pole position right now. Let's see what we can do. And Dare McCormack into the pits then with 3:43 left to go. Is that it? Is that Dare McCormack deciding that his day is done? Or is he going to come out, do you think, Simon, and get another try at pole position?
I think he has enough time to get another run. So I think we'll definitely see him again. But he might just be waiting for some clean air on track. Maybe wait for a time where he can get out with as little traffic as possible, so he can challenge unbothered.
So I'm looking at this, but well, there we go. Dare McCormack back out on pit lane. I just wondered as well, because we always go on about qualifying, and obviously it's great to get a good position, but ultimately it makes it more important, I would say, Simon, given that we've got a 2-second spread, almost 3-second spread between 1st and 13th position. So that 13th position is 3 seconds off of the pace that Callie Atkins can do ultimately. So if you're at the back of the grid, so if you're a Bear, McEwing or Reed in 14th, 15th or 16th, that's time that's going to impact you, and that's going to hold you up as well. So ideally you want to try and get yourself into the top 10.
Definitely, you know, obviously it's no secret that the higher you start in a race, the more likely you are to get a better position. It's not necessarily how it's going to work out, but it does generally tend to be the way it works. So obviously the costs who are currently 11th down, you have Saristo, Gonzabo, Piamet, Abeyer, they're all going to want to get as high up in the order as possible. But the challenge for them is going to be that all the other drivers ahead of them are going to want to keep their highest spot. So it's a give and take battle.
Just noticing as well, actually, Samir Foch in the 88 Ferrari, 5th position. So that's a cracking result for the lone Ferrari, along with Holm in that 777 McLaren. So you'll be delighted, Simon, that your McLaren is up into P6 there. Very fast and a very nimble car. Why do you like it?
The main reason, I've kind of grown up. I'm a massive Formula 1 fan, so I've always grown up watching and supporting. My favourite drivers happen to be racing in McLaren. At the time it was Jenson Button, nowadays it's Lando Norris. So it's one of those situations where I've grown up watching them, so now when I see these new McLaren cars, I kind of have to fall in love with them, almost based on pure nostalgia.
Well, that's I guess that qualifies then, yeah, I'll take that one. But I mean, obviously the recent heartbreak for Lando Norris in that last race. Hopefully he can overcome that this weekend. But before we get there, we have the matter of two HyperX Open Series races to get underway here at Imola. We are just a minute away from finishing qualifying. Dare McCormack has gone across the line. He is currently making his way, I believe, up to Piratella at the moment. He is indeed. That is Kirsten Abier in the GT Omega RPM Esports machine, the number 19. And yeah, that is not how you want to approach that chicane there at Villeneuve. That's not
No, it's
really
not the
gonna
fastest
happen.
way around the opening chicane, is it?
I've seen more efficient lines, shall we say, on that one. But
yes,
here,
for sure.
Here is Dare McCormack then in the number 14 Williams Esports. It looks like he is the only person that is able to bring the challenge. And did he cut the corner at that chicane there? It looked like it for Dare McCormack. He would have stopped the car. I would have thought, though, if that was the case. It's charged down to Piratella. Also making an improvement is Luke Whitehead. That is now a 140.6 for Luke Whitehead in the Mercedes. Here comes Dare McCormack then out of Ravazza for the final time. He's going to go across the line. And what can Dare McCormack do? He doesn't take pole position, I don't believe. He just goes across it now. And yeah, no improvement there. 143.683 that last lap round. So yeah, that didn't really do it for him. I think it's safe to say that we can crack out the champagne then for Callie Atkins, who goes into pit lane. Callie Atkins takes pole position. Dare McCormack in second, Luke Whitehead in third, Eunice Savalainen in fourth position, Samir Foch in fifth, and then it is home in the 777 McLaren in sixth position. So there we go. That looks like we are done and dusted. Is Samir Foch still on a lap here? I think, I again, without dismissing Samir, I've seen him take pole position plenty of times, but he just doesn't seem to have the same sort of pace in that Ferrari just now. If he is able to get into the top three, I will be very, very impressed. But Simon, given his previous laps and previous showing in free practice, I think fifth place might be the best that he's going to get out of this.
It might be, but, you know, a 4/10 gap to the car ahead of him is a massive gap, but he's the last person on track, so he's going to have the fastest conditions and the best opportunity. He might improve his time. At most, I maybe get fourth, but no, at the end of it, doesn't seem like it. So yeah, fifth for him. A great performance anyway. Going to set him up really well for the race. It's just a question of delivering on that, improving on that starting position.
Well, there we go then. So Callie Atkins taking pole position from Dare McCormack, and that is quite a fight going into turn one on the race ahead. We're just a couple of minutes away from going down to the grid just now. Simon, I mean, that was an epic qualifying session, a good turnout for tonight's race, and a perfect example of why the series is the way it is and open to everyone.
Definitely, you know, it's we saw Callie Atkins and Dare McCormack, such a small gap between the two races, and they're going to be going into turn one, guns blazing like Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Hopefully less contact, but you know, that's just a personal wish.
I'm the sort of person that wants to watch the world burn. I'm like, no, you guys have, we've got the stewards here. You guys have as much contact as you like, and you'll get penalised for it. And then we'll see. You know, I want to see the BMW win tonight. That's my.
See, I was about to make a joke that if it means we get another McLaren 1-2, I'm fine for them to crash at every corner. But you know, again, personal biases. This will all be edited out. It's fine. It's fine. Nothing happened. But
I think today's word is brought to you by professionalism. So
professionalism and the power of video editing.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to the race tonight, though. We've went on about like the names that we've got out there tonight. It is a very, very strong field. We've seen that through the entirety of the season. But with the likes of Callie Atkins up front in the Bentley has got a lot of pace here. Now, we've seen that we've got another Bentley, I think it was P6 on that. So we know that it isn't just the Bentley there. I think what we'll do, though, is we'll have a little chat about that more on the build-up to the grid. We'll have a quick ad break, and we'll be right back with you on World Pro Racing.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, then to live coverage of the World Pro Racing HyperX Open Series race number 7 from Imola. It's David Christie and Simon Zammit here with you in the virtual commentary box on the build-up. And Simon, I was just asking you beforehand, I mean, big names, some big talent out there going into turn 1. What are you expecting?
Hopefully, we always want a clean race. We always want to see the drivers racing as close as they can to each other while keeping it clean. So, in my mind, I think I want the top 2 to go in side by side and then battle for it, and may the best driver win, I suppose. Or may the one with the best line, I guess, in this case.
2 races coming up tonight. We've got the 30-minute sprint race, and then we've got the 60-minute, slightly longer race. Arguably, you know, they're both going to be sprint races tonight. How much of the rivalry from the first race is going to carry over to that second 1 hour race, do you think?
I think it depends on the sprint race itself. You know, if we end up with a situation where the top 2 are battling endlessly for the entire race and P2, like to say, David McCormack outclasses Atkins maybe on the final lap, the anger and the determination is going to be there throughout the entire hour of the feature race. If it's a bit more of a quieter affair, which obviously we hope not, we want as many battles and as many racings as possible. But if it is a bit more of a quieter affair, I think race 2 would be more about changing strategy and seeing what went wrong in the sprint race so they can overcome that in the feature.
Well, here comes race number 1 then. 30 minutes of Imola are about to get underway. The cars making their way round Ravazza, Callie Atkins and Dare McCormack on the front row of the grid as Bentley versus Mercedes AMG. Hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a wild one. Race 7 of the HyperX Open Series here at World Pro Racing is about to go green. Callie Atkins just getting the cars under control for the last couple of 100 metres of this stretch. The start is so vital, that run down to Tamburello into turn number 1. And here we go, the green flag waves. It's a decent start for Callie Atkins at the front of that grid, but Dare McCormack gets a good one as well. But look at Luke Whitehead tucked in on the left-hand side there as well, but can't quite make it stick. That is a decent start there. I think that was actually Uniselv Leinen making it up the inside. All of the cars look to have survived turn number 1 there, and we've got a fight for the lead already as Dare McCormack tries thinking about it on the outside of Callie Atkins, but it's not going to be. That sends him further back just now, and we've got a car going across the gravel further back there. We've got a car facing the wrong way. I think that might have been the 89 of McEwing. It is. So the 89 out of the way. We've had a disconnect from 4th place there. That might have been was that Luke Whitehead that's just disappeared?
I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't seem like it. Luke White is still there. It might be Savalainen, who has...
the number 100, of course, right? So Uniselv Leinen has taken a trip to the Netherrealm, confirmed disconnected from the server there. And, well, welcome to online racing, I'm afraid, my friends. That is the virtual equivalent of an engine failure, and we've seen it so many times happening on the first lap of a race as well. That is a huge commiserations then for Uniselv Leinen in the number 100. Further back is Niall Reid in the Bentley Team M Sport Machine side by side with Pierre May. This is Wojtek Neuer with for Team Shark up the inside into Ravazza as well. And That has been an absolutely frantic opening lap, Simon.
It has been. I'm surprised you managed to breathe through it. Well done. But yeah, obviously the top, I believe, 5, now 4, holding on to their positions. Very unfortunate for Savalainen. He had a really, really great opportunity from 4th. But the battle's still going, as we see further back, Niall Reid up against, I do not know who is in the green Mercedes. But they're going almost 3 wide as the car on the inside backs out of it. Yeah, interesting battles all over the field. As we cut to the lead, where we have Kyle Atkins defending from Darren McCormack. He's got the pace on him. He's going to...
Simon, that's Unisalvlainen at the back of the field. Unisalvlainen back in the race, but he's in 15th place. That's who that white and yellow car was. So he's on the tail of Niall Reid. So we thought it was all over for Unisalvlainen, but I mean, that's only what, about 5 seconds of a gap to the leaders. So he's well still within this.
Definitely, and we see him here challenging a route on Niall Reid. So it could be interesting. Like I said, he has the speed, clearly. He qualified in 4th, so he might be making up moves. He might be one to watch in this race.
Oh my goodness me, that is a turn up for the books. He is definitely going to be making his way through the field, no doubt about it, already up to P13, and that is... that's a bit of a strange one. Obviously, some sort of an incident on the back straight there, then ended up at the back of the field, but nowhere near as far back as if he'd actually properly disconnected from the race. So huge news there for Unisalvlainen fans. We'll keep you updated with this one. But as we head into the 3rd lap then, and we have 2 laps under our belts, Callie Atkins comes across the line, still in the lead of Darren McCormack, and Luke Whitehead sent a 1.5 seconds back to Samir Foch. Here is Unisalvlainen then. Let's have a look here what happens through the first chicane. And it's on the exit here now. I wonder, onto the grass, and then this is the left-hander then into to Tosa. And it's right here, the car just disappears. The car just... now, I wonder if the car is just... Right, there we go. So the car just jerked to the back a little bit, moves over to the grass, lets everyone through and gets going again. So some sort of hardware or technical failure there, Simon.
Definitely. Maybe a controller or a wheel disconnection, possibly. Hard to say, obviously, when we don't have the luxury of seeing into their setup. But yeah, unfortunate for them, but they're going to be carving through the field again in anger, so it will be they're one to watch for sure. As I say that, here they go making another move. I believe this one on Kirsten Abeyer, up the inside, very well done into the hairpin, and I think he's going to, definitely going to hold that move. Yep, good thing.
I'm slightly confused actually, because he'd already got past Abeyer. So Salvalainen has lost that place to Pirme and to Reid and to Bayer again, and has went all the way back down to 14th place there. So Salvalainen is having an absolutely torrid race today.
Yeah, it's really strange. I wonder if technical issues are going to plague him for the rest of this sprint race. Hopefully he can sort them so he can take part and properly take part and compete in the feature race. Again, he'll start from 4th again, so he has another opportunity to score some good points. It's just a question of figuring out the issues he's having. As we see up to Dave McCormack getting under pressure from Luke Whitehead in P3. Can Luke he's got a run on him into the down the back straight, down the front straight, I should say. Is he going to try to dive into turn 1, do you think?
I don't know. Luke's a smart cookie. Luke's the sort of driver that wouldn't force the issue if he can. But oh my goodness me, wow, that was a move and a half there from Luke Whitehead right the outside. Got the move done before the corner even approached them right now. But Darren McCormack is going to have the cutback. He drinks into the toe of Luke Whitehead just now as they've swapped positions. The 1-2-1 up into 2nd position just now, and that was a move and a half as we see Gergely Kuntabo for Mad Panda Motorsports side by side, and actually just loses the position there to the number 23 of Pirmes, who is just in front of him just now. Of course, we saw Gergely Kuntabo with that 5-second penalty you see there to the right hand side for that qualifying incident where he brought the car straight back out onto the racing line, causing a collision with another car. The stewards feeling that that was too much. We've got a 10-second penalty here for car 23, and that was for an incident involving McEwing in that 89 car. So a 10-second penalty for an avoidable incident there.
Unfortunate for him, obviously, like I said, we have the FAA accredited stewards here in Adrian Figallo and George Muscar. So it's good to see that they're acting quickly and making decisions that benefit the race as a whole rather than just the benefits one driver. We also have a drive-through penalty for Niall Raid, maybe due to track limits for him, unfortunately. We talked earlier, very easy to do around the circuit. It's very tight. The corners kind of approach you when you're not expecting them. So he's going to have to serve that, and it's going to dump him probably right to the back of the field.
Okay, that is...
That is a corner.
I don't think I've ever seen that sort of line taken through Ravatsa. I do wonder actually if Niall's nursing some sort of problems with that car and he's maybe not able to get it turned in as quickly as he can. He jumps into pit lane. I wonder if that is the last we're going to see of Niall Reid tonight. He's into pit lane anyway, but this is Luke Whitehead back into pressure then from Dare McCormack on the exit of Villeneuve then on the run down in towards Tosa. It's that long left-hander up the run up the hill, and Luke Whitehead actually having to sit back in through the toe there. So Dare McCormack's actually got that move done. I was slightly confused there because of course Luke Whitehead got the move done on Dare McCormack, but he's managed to get that position back as we switch further down. This is the battle between the Nissan, the GTR of Saristo on the number 9 and the 158 of Ashton Cox. They're side by side here. Neither of them want to give up, but it's going to be the Nissan up the inside. He's going to try and take it on the outside there, but it's never going to work. Saristo takes the position. The big bad GTR strikes again.
Yeah, very close battles up and down the field. As we see, it's not over yet. Ashton Cox now under pressure from the car behind in Sea of Piermetz. As they come up to the chicane, I don't think he's going to be able to get a move done. He might have to back out of it, and in fact he does. But yet this battle is not over. As we see, Savalainen once again has the speed very close behind them, as well as Kunstraho not too far behind them. Very interesting.
I was just waiting to say there, Simon, Savalainen, the fact that he's already making the move on Piermaze as well, and this is Dare McCormack still trying to hold off Luke Whitehead right now. I really feel sorry for our production team and for Justin behind the scenes, because we just don't know where to look right now. There's so much action happening all over the track, isn't there?
Definitely, and as we can see from the timing table on the left, Savalainen has got past both Kunstrava and Piermetz, so he's making up some incredible ground in this race. 5/10 currently behind Ashton Cox, so we'll see if he can get into the top 10 in the next couple of laps. But as we as we talk about the top 3 again, a bit of a gap now between Whitehead and McCormack. Maybe Whitehead making a mistake around one of the corners. Just lots of bit of time. He's going to need a lap or two to close back in, regroup, and try another attack, I'd say.
Well, a very good evening to Kieran Vidago in our YouTube chat, who said that that it was an orchestrated move, that they're in comms with each other and that they're working together to get Callie Atkins. Well, that might be, but the two of them are just falling off the cliff in terms of Callie Atkins. And if they were, you'd think if they were working with each other, we wouldn't have seen that fight 3 laps ago.
Definitely, you know, if the idea is to use each other to slipstream up to Callie Atkins, going side by side around the corner is not the way to do it. You're going to slow each other down, you're going to have to take weird lines, and it's just not going to work. And as we've seen, Callie Atkins has a 3-second gap at the moment. That's not something you can easily close as the pit window is open. So both second and third place cars dive into the pits wanting to get that undercut immediately, which is a very interesting development in this race, because Callie Atkins, how long does he stay out now before making that move? How long does he risk his tyres degrading?
And now Kieran's pointed out something. The pair of them are struggling on their tyres, so they've decided to pop in to get a fresh set of boots on. We'll have to keep an eye on that, because we might have a little bit of inside intel there, thanks to Kieran Vidago, again, one of the regulars out there. And also good evening to Harry Spears. I'm surprised we don't have Harry out tonight, out with us to play, but it is what it is. Samir Forsten provisionally takes second place, hunted down by that beautiful looking 777 McLaren of home just behind him. And again, a bit of a lonely race for these drivers right now. Jonas Savalainen temporarily gets moved up into 8th position, but obviously just into to the pits is what's going to cost him there. Now, Kieran's actually saying they're not actually taking tyres on the stop, because that would make it too long of a stop there. So I do wonder how they're going to be able to cope pace-wise if they're not taking tyres and they're struggling on the tyres that they've got. then surely that means that it's going to be just exactly the same issue with Callie Atkins, as we see Eunice Salvlinen making absolutely short work of Ashton Cox for H3 Racing here. Poor Ashton Cox has been a little bit emasculated there.
Yeah, unfortunately we got to him right as he was being overtaken. But to focus on this, what you were saying about McCormack and Whitehead for a second. Actually, I'll come back to that in a second. As Jay Holm is currently right behind Samir Foe. He's gonna go to the outside into the first 10-1 chicane. I believe it's called Tamburello, my names. But can't make it done. Can he get a switchback at the exit? Maybe try and move into the next corner. Doesn't look like it. He's gonna have to stay behind for a little bit longer. A very close battle. You said they were running in on their own race at the moment, but they're not doing it quietly.
That was a deep inhalation of breath there as Samir Foch, now definitely driving in his mirrors home, tries to take the inside line up through into Tosa, the two of them up through the left-hander, but Foch just had the better momentum, the better run out of that corner, but that McLaren is strictly in the boot lid of that Ferrari up in front. Just also noticing that Gergely Kunsabo's day has gone from bad to worse. He got a 5-second penalty earlier on. He's now got a stop, go 30. Presumably, that's good. In fact, it can't be for speeding in pit lane. I bet it's because he's not. He must have done something for that one, because stop, go 30 when he's not had a pit stop. That's a bit of a strange one there.
And it wouldn't be. I doubt it would be for track limits, because they usually get a drive-through penalty first, and I don't think he did. So maybe we'll get word on what happened to him in a few moments, but unsure for now. As we cut back to Saristo also being overtaken by Savalainen. Well, not in this moment, but being attacked by Savalainen. He really does have the pace, doesn't he? He's really, really pushing that car above and beyond what the other guys are doing.
It's scary, the pace that Eunice has got. We see him, I've commentated on him many a time as part of the Grip Hacks engineering team, and devastatingly fast, won many races, and a good team player, but a very fast driver on his own right as well. As Oscar Siristo for OSS Racing comes into the pit, as does the 158 Audi of Ashton Cox. So the majority of drivers now have done their pit stop. We've only got 5 3/4 minutes left to go in the pit window for this first race of 2 tonight. But Samir Foch still out in the lead. Callie Atkins is into pit lane, and it's then going to hand the lead back to Callie Atkins. But that gap now to Dare McCormack and Luke Whitehead, if I'm reading that right, that has got to be, we'll have a look at where the 100 is on track at the moment, to the 210 back to the number 14 there, and that is quite a gap that's opened up with them. That's got to be 3 seconds between Callie Atkins and the 210. And the 121 and 14 of Luke McCormack. Dare McCormack and Luke Whitehead. So the point I'm trying to get to, rather roundaboutly, is the fact that I think maybe that gap has shrunk ever so slightly.
I think if it has shrunk, it's ever so slightly. It's still hovering around 3 seconds, 3.7 at the moment as it stands. But I don't think the early pit stop has really done as much as they were hoping it did. Now it's a question of they've taken the early pit stop. They're going to have maybe a quicker pit stop, but more fuel on board. How is that going to work out towards the end of the race? What can Callie Atkins respond with? Because a 3-second gap is not a small amount to overcome. It's going to take a lot of pressure, especially when you have to consider they have to get past as well.
I'm just also noticing Luke Whitehead has fallen off a cliff then, 2.5 seconds behind Dare McCormack then, and McCormack into that second position. The gap 3.5 seconds as they come round Ravata to crack another lap into the books here. 40 minutes left to go in our first 30-minute race of the evening here, and that gap is actually starting to come down, I'll be honest with you. It was 3.8. It's now down to 3.5. It then is now down to 3.2. So Dare McCormack, I want to say he is actually chipping away, but I'm trying to understand how Samir Foch showing us in second place there, but he will filter down. In fact, there he goes now.
Yes.
Down through the order there. The 23 actually brought out a yellow flag there. I think Pierre Mays is retiring from the race because that was a yellow flag. He's already pitted, and that car into pit lane again as we see Tom Otte under pressure here from the Bentley of Stremer.
Stremer has a 10-second time penalty there against his name, so I'm not sure if we have word from what he did. Maybe track limits, but he does get past. Well, he's going around the outside. Well done. If he can hold it around the outside of I forgot the name. Toza. Yes, that's the one. He does seem to have done it. He's going to have the inside now into the next corner. I'm an idiot. He's going to have the outside around the next corner. It's going to be difficult to hold it there, and Tomotti just forces him a little bit wide, gives him absolutely no more room than he needs to. But Stremer's still on the inside, still going to have the move done. As he go round out the inside.
That is tight. That is very, very tight. But the Bentley gets it done. Stremer takes the move and takes the 7th position. The BMW is absolutely spitting feathers right now. Tom Otte for Special Racing, despite all of the effort, despite all of the shenanigans there, going side by side for 6 corners in a row, has to think better of it, and ultimately is going to drop off from the back end of that Bentley. The Bentley just has much, much better straight line pace on that one. Salvleinen into the pits then. Salvleinen, I think, is going to have made huge gains here. In fact, if I'm right in saying, he's going to be up to 8th position right now when all is said and done. And that is an amazing performance from Jonas Salvleinen. If he can actually get that car back out, in fact, there he goes. He's going to struggle to hold that position on, but Callie Atkins, that gap going up considerably now, 3.8 seconds, and barring any mistakes, Callie Atkins is just ridiculous in terms of pace right now. It looks very, very strong for Callie. After that last performance there at Zolder, we're finishing 2nd place in that main race to finish 1st in the 30-minute race. That is some strong back-to-back performances. So 11 minutes left to go in the race just now then. Back with Samir Foch. I've just noticed the team name, Haas, but without the money. Simon, we're going to have to get our best Günther Steiner impressions on the go very, very shortly for Samir. But at the moment, Samir under pressure again from the 777 of home in that McLaren. But the McLaren just doesn't seem to be as comfortable as the Ferrari over the curbs.
It doesn't. Samir Foch obviously made a little bit of ground in the pit stop phases. Not much, only a few tenths, but enough to just have a little bit of a breathing room so he can afford to attack these curves more, maybe run an inch wide in places and not immediately have a McLaren 10 centimeters behind you.
Just watching the BMW. This must be such an intimidating experience for poor Tom Otte in Special Racing, because he's driving the BMW as best as he can, and he's got this absolute hooligan behind him of Jonas Salvleinen in the 100 Mercedes, looking every which way and not giving Tom Otte an ounce of space at all, as we see Kirsten Hebert completely missing the braking point for Variante Alta, and has to allow that position back to the McEwen car, the 89 behind. Here comes Jonas Salvleinen side by side. It was almost lost for words. Is he going to try and make a move up the inside of the BMW? He thinks about it. The two of them, oh my goodness me, that is a move and a half through. Villeneuve then is going to have the inside line for Toza. The move is done. At that point, Simon, you just have to just give up, do you, on trying to defend from Jonas Salvleinen? If he wants the place, he's taking it.
I was going to say, like, at what point in that corner did Tom Otte have to understand that he's not going to be victorious in this? Salvleinen has just got the pace in that car. The Mercedes under him is working so well in these conditions, and he's just absolutely flying. That move, so good, so measured. Absolutely one for the highlight reel.
Yeah, for sure. Notes in as well, the 14 Williams Esports machine of Darren McCormack, that's dropped off a cliff now. That gap is 5 seconds, so any hope that we had for a battle for the lead is out the window in some style. Callie Atkins has the hands round the throat of this race. Dominant fashion for Omega G Performance. It's a worthy performance as we head into the final 8.5 minutes left of this first race of 2 tonight. And yeah, this has been a fantastic race. I've really enjoyed this first one here, Simon. And this sets us up, I think, in really good steading for the last hour race.
Definitely. You know, if Callie Atkins has this much pace now in 30 minutes, imagine what they can do over an hour. And also, the other interesting factor going into it is what will Dare McCormack and Luke Whitehead change about their strategy to try and overcome the pace deficit?
I think that's it, because it's almost, for Callie Atkins, they've now got a target on their back for that second race, where Darren McCormack and Luke Whitehead know they can't afford, if they want to have any shot at the win tonight in that hour race, they cannot afford to fight each other. It's all about that turn one and just sending it up the inside there. So I think the hour race might be a little bit more dramatic at the start than our first half-hour race. Just a reminder then, if you want to join on board with all of the events that we do here at World Pro Racing, head over to worldproracing.com, join in the community. You can join in the weekly casual races as well as the special events that we run as part of World Pro Racing, worldproracing.com. Callie Atkins, though, with 7 minutes left to go, the gap now nearly 6 seconds. Luke Whitehead isn't anywhere to be found. I'm just turning my attention here to Unisalv Leinen. I honestly think that he could have that 6th position from Stramair if he keeps going at that current pace.
Well, that's the thing. Stramair has that 10-second time penalty, so he's going to get the position regardless at the end of the race. It's a question of can he get it on track, which is obviously most probably what he's going to want to do. I think he's probably a bit too far back. There just isn't enough time for him to challenge Home, unless maybe Home makes a mistake. But as we've been talking about him, that gap has dropped to just 1.7 seconds. He is flying. Imagine what he can do in the feature race.
Exactly, it's just been absolutely relentless pace, and this is what you see. This is what separates your casual racers from your pro racers. And I've had this conversation, Simon, many times on many different broadcasts, but you know, we're in a very different world now, whereas yourself and myself might, as we see Dare McCormack going very wide there, again, struggling with those tyres at Aqua Minerale. But for myself and possibly for yourself, Simon, we take part in esports races for the fun of it, just because it's something to do, whereas for a lot of these drivers, it's actually their job. They're employed by some of these esports teams and paid considerable amounts of money to turn up several times a week and deliver on results.
Definitely, you know, that's the joy of esports, is that it can 100% be a hobby, something you pick up on the weekends just for a bit of fun, maybe a competition or two. But it's gotten to a point now, especially thanks to COVID more than anything else. Well, I'd say that COVID has obviously helped bring it into the mainstream. It is a genuine career opportunity for some of these drivers, which is honestly so exciting to see. I'm a massive fan of watching technology change and evolve, so to have a situation like this where you can make money consistently and safely from esports, it's absolutely fantastic.
It's a double-edged sword as well, though, because obviously with that money comes this expectation, and it does turn what you used to do for love and passion and enjoyment into a job. You know, you are expected to perform time and time again. And the amazing thing that I always get completely blown away with is the fact that these teams that are, you know, running these drivers, they don't have the same sense of loyalty. So like in real life motorsport, if you're having a really bad season, you'll last at least half a season, whereas in esports races you might not make it to the next month with your current team, because they've got a endless supply of these incredibly talented drivers that are willing to snap up the positions left, right and centre. It very much is a very different world.
Definitely, you know, and I think you find that in many of these more recreational activities turned into jobs. You know, you see it in how many like YouTubers and influencers have we heard, how many writers have we heard, that their hobby, this passion of theirs, kind of becomes a bit of a drag. It's an unfortunate truth to some of these more, I wouldn't say idyllic jobs, because on paper they're gorgeous. You know, you play games all day from your house, but everything has a dark side, everything has a more bureaucratic side to it. So it's unfortunate, but it is just a reality that if it's a, you know, meritocracy more than anything else, if you're not good enough, you don't get the as many opportunities as drivers who are performing better.
Yeah, for sure. As we see a yellow flag coming out there, that is Cox in the 158 Audi, who loses it at Variante Alta from the looks of it on the track map there. The 158 all by himself now, trying to fend off the 89 of McEwing there. Gets on the go again. Doesn't look to be any damage with that car of Ashton Cox, but yeah, 3 minutes left to go. 11th place finish. I've got to be honest, I would be happy with that if that was me. But then that's because I'm not very good as a sim racing driver. I do say that, but I'm just, you know yourself, it's like you've got being good at sim racing and then having the pace of some of these absolute aliens who are able to just destroy lap times left, right and centre and put in these incredible performances. Here's a replay then of the H3 racing of Ashton Cox then. This is going to be, as I said, on the run down to Variante Alta, onto the curbs. The car was already unsettled at the exit the corner and faces the wrong way. No harm whatsoever, other, Simon, than a bit of damaged pride there.
Yeah, you know, it's such an easy mistake to make. You get on the power a bit too soon, you hit the curb wrong, you know. These cars are quick and they're not the most stable at times, so it's very easy to do. Unfortunately for him, he's going to lose a couple of places maybe and lose a lot of time, but like you're saying, no damage to the car. He can continue with his race, just maybe a bit of hurt to pride.
I've got to be honest, it's the least favourite GT3 car for me, the Audi. It's a wonderful car to look at. It looks beautiful. However, driving it is a very frustrating experience. It suffers massively, I find, from snap oversteer. It drives fine for the majority of the race, and then one fateful corner, it's just going to decide to pitch you into the nearest tyre barrier at a high rate of knots. But here comes Callie Atkins then, 16 laps in the book, and it's been a light to flag performance so far for Callie Atkins. Maybe about a minute and a half of pressure from Dermot Cormack and Luke Whitehead, but other than that, it's been plain sailing for the Omega G performance driver in the 210 Bentley, down through towards Variante Alta then for the penultimate time. It's going to be the white flag this time by as we head down into Ravata. Brilliant performance, and again, absolutely flawless, no issues, no worries to write home about. But here we go, this is the question I was asking. Is the 100 of Uniself line going to be able to take that 6th place from Strumer on track, because we know he's going to have that place in the bag. And in fact, if Strumer doesn't get a move on here, Strumer is also going to lose that 8th position to Tom Otte in the 69 BMW. So that is quite the turn up for the books.
Definitely. It's very currently, I believe it's, if my math is correct, it's currently 10.1 seconds is the gap. So David Strumer is going to want to step on it. But hard to do when you have a very quick and very determined, let's say, Savalainen right behind you.
There we go. Simon just searching for some polite words. I would have been Scottish, I would have had some slightly less polite words to use on that one.
I thought of some more impolite words, but
yes, you know. We can share them once the stream is finished tonight.
Exactly.
But Uniself Lennon on the tail end of Strumer there in the number 1. We'll have a quick look at where your race leader is. Callie Atkins then coming up through Piratella for the final time just now. This has been an exemplary performance down on the run to Aqua Minerale. The right-hander through here just now gets that done, no problem whatsoever. I mean, Simon, this has just been a special performance from Callie, and there's really nothing to suggest that Callie doesn't have this in the bag for race number 2.
Definitely, you know, this is the race every driver wants, you know, leading from lights to flag, barely any challenge from someone else. A little bit in the beginning, but they managed to hold off, keep their positions and keep their head down, and in approximately 1 corner and maybe 200 meters, they're going to win this race, and it's 100% well deserved. They've driven superbly. As they come across the line in just a few seconds, they're going to take the checkered flag. Well done, Carly Atkins. You have won the sprint race. Congratulations.
Brilliant performance then for Callie Atkins to take the win. First race of the evening. Dare McCormack for Williams Esports is going to take a well-deserved second place. Luke Whitehead in the 1-2-1 comes across 5 seconds behind Dare McCormack there for PPR Esports. Samir Foch in the lone Ferrari comes out of the final corner just now, comes across the line to take 4th place, and then it's the 777 McLaren just behind. Ooh, that was a little bit close there of home in the McLaren. Stromae in the Bentley takes 6th position. Great result from Daniel Stromae. Will finish, unfortunately, in 7th position. That position gets handed to Unislav Lenin with the 10-second penalty. I think was just enough, because Tom Ottey actually gets demoted down to 9th position because Oliver Saristo in the number 9 GTR finishes in 8th position there. Neuwirth in the 63 Aston Martin in 10th position. Ashton Cox in that Audi we saw facing the wrong way at Variante Alta there finishes in 11th place in the Audi. McEwing in 12th, Bayer in 13th. Niall Reid and Gergely Kunsabo do not finish the race, 14th and 15th. But there we go, race 1 in the books. Callie Atkins taking the win there. Wow, Simon, that was a wild race 1.
Definitely. Wow was the correct answer, I believe. It was so exciting from start to finish. There were races, battles and races up and down the field. And a dominant performance from Callie Atkins. A superb drive.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. As always, a huge thank you to our commercial partners over at Gaming Malta, as well as AMD, HyperX, GT Omega Racing, Thrustmaster, and our broadcast partners at Esports Television, Motorsport.tv, and TVM Sport, as well as obviously all you lovely people over on YouTube as well. So, race 1 is out the way, is in the books. We go back to our qualifying positions for the next race. Also, a huge thank you to Twitch. We can't forget our viewers on Twitch. When we come back, though, Simon, let's build up for the next race, because obviously a lot to talk about. But we've got to pay the bills. Time for a very quick ad break.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
It's just so dangerous. You are risking not only your life, but also my life.
Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to World Pro Racing Round 7 here at Imola. It's David Christie and Simon Zammit here with you for live coverage of tonight's events. You've just joined us. Where have you been? You've just missed an amazing 30-minute race that saw Callie Atkins dominantly taking charge from the outset. It was a case of the best of the rest for Dare McCormack and Luke Whitehead. Simon, we're just a couple of minutes away from the next race, but I don't know about you. Have you managed to get your breath back?
Just about. You know, I think it was such a good race, so exciting, and now we have to do the same thing, but in double the time. So, gonna be fun. I'm gonna sleep well tonight. Let's say that. But yeah, I'm very excited for this race. Obviously, everyone's gonna be bringing something different, a different strategy, a different challenge to it. What can Callie Atkins do to take another victory? What can Dare McCormack and Luke Whitehead do to make sure that that doesn't happen? And now, if we look further back, we saw how fast Silverlinen can be. If they don't have tech issues this time and they can start in fourth, where are they going to be challenging, you know? It's very interesting.
It's going to be a very frightening prospect, actually, as you said, yourself, Linen. If he hadn't have had the issues in that first race, could have been a very different thing. But you've also got to think with how dominant that Callie Atkins was on that first race. If they can get into that turn 1 and turn 2, that is going to be their only opportunity. Time for chat is over because we are just coming into Revataren for the start of the second race here on World Pro Racing. This is the HyperX Open Series, and it's Callie Atkins who is out front and in charge of Dare McCormack and Luke Whitehead. But Uniself Linen, perhaps his best chance tonight, is still back there in fourth place, hopefully avoiding any of the technical issues. The cars gently make their way down. This is always the most nervous bit of the evening because there's a lot of pressure on Callie Atkins' shoulder, but the two cars line up in 2x2. Callie Atkins, Dare McCormack, Luke Whitehead, Uniself Linen, Samir Foch, Holmes, Tremere in the 5th and 6th place cars just now as we wait seconds away from the green flag. They're inching ever closer. There we go, the green flag flies and race 2 is underway. 60 minutes here and it looks like Dare McCormack gets an absolute blinder up the inside. This is it. This is going to be their only chance to get past Callie Atkins. Around the outside, there's contact, but it looks like Dare McCormack just slips away. That allows Luke Whitehead to get right the outside of them, and that chance could have already gone. There goes Uniself Linen up on the inside, and so does Samir Foch up into 3rd and 4th position. But it is Callie Atkins in 1st, is going to be Uniself Linen in 3rd, Dare McCormack in 2nd, and Samir Foch in 4th, and that is a disaster for Luke Whitehead right there, Simon.
Definitely. You know, we said they needed to try something different, but he's gonna wish everything had stayed the same this time. But he's gonna go up the inside of Samir Foch. He's gonna make the move. No, not close enough on this occasion. But Sutherland's gonna be loving that start. Look how close he is to Dare McCormack. He's gonna be challenging right from the off.
He really, really is. And this is exactly what you wanted to see, because, oh, we've got a car spinning off in the background. That looks like, is that the number 158? We'll get an idea on that in just a second. But that was a car spinning off into Aqua Minerale. Meanwhile, further back, Samir Foch loses that position then to Luke Whitehead and gets thrown to the wolves of Stromae and Holm, who are fighting it out behind him as well. We've got Holm on the outside. That's going to be the inside into Ravazza then to come round to complete the first lap. So Holm moves up into 6th position, and that means that the Bentley has to try and fight off the number 19 of a Bear. This is all where it counts, though, as we go to a replay then. This is Niall Reid, who had horrible luck in that first race. Very wide up the left-hand side to Piratella. It's going to be on the brakes into Aqua Minerale here, and he just loses it by himself. That's quite an achievement there, Simon.
Yeah, I think maybe he just tips a rear wheel into the off the track and loses all grip and just slides wide. Very unfortunate for him. As we see, is that a slight mistake from Dare McCormack is going to give Savalainen a bit more of a chance, but this is not an overtaking. As we got to Kirsten Bayer defending from Saristo, goes a bit wide into the gravel trap, so he's going to get alongside, going to go round the outside, but can't make it done into Toza. Kirsten Bayer keeping that position for just a bit longer. As we cut back to the battle between Jimmy Holm and Stromae. Stromae again trying to go around the outside. He's not going to get it done there, but Holm goes wide. Could give Stromae another opportunity into the chicane, but going around the outside of the chicane is very difficult. Oh, it's all the chicane. My mistake.
Certainly is. And Jimmy Holm putting all of the pressure and soaking that up from Stromae behind him. But again, Stromae in that Bentley is going to have to think carefully, because he's got Kirsten Bayer just behind him as well. In fact, where is Tom Otte gone? Tom Otte has fallen off of a cliff in the in fact, that was Tom Otte in the Aston Martin. Wasn't Tom Otte in the BMW last race? I wondered why I was so confused there, but Tom was in the BMW. He's changed over to the Aston Martin. Niall Reid gets a 5-second penalty in the number 7 Bentley, so we'll find out what that's for in a minute. But this is going to be Salvalainen's best chance then on the start-finish straight then on the tail of Dare McCormack, and Dare McCormack might not have anything that they can do. It's going to be run out to the wide. Oh, that was very, very controversial there from Dare McCormack, just closing the door on Jonas Salvalainen. I think that was done before Jonas was side by side, but here comes Jonas Salvalainen up the inside. This is down into Villeneuve, and like candy from a baby, that is going to be the position for Jonas Salvalainen. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. That is second place, and straight into a little bit of fisticuffs behind with Daniel Stromae and Tom Otte. That Aston Martin sneaks up the inside, and that Bentley is going down.
Yeah, I'll talk about Savalainen first. An absolutely brilliant move. We saw him practicing that in the sprint race, but perfecting it now. He's into P2, and he's got the pace, maybe to catch Aikens. But even Stromae losing the pace to Tom Otte. A very, very good battle between the two of them. As we see Luke Whitehead and Dare McCormack back to their battling from the first race. Can Luke Whitehead maybe get a move into this corner? No, a bit too far back, but he's definitely looking, and he's definitely going to want to get past McCormack as soon as possible.
Well, if they two are working together, McCormack's going to have to let Whitehead go, because the pace that Whitehead has got right now is incredibly fast, and they need to work together to at least stay on the back end of Salvalainen. If Salvalainen lights that touch paper and gets going, then I think Callie Atkins might have something to worry about. But at the moment, 4.7 seconds is the gap. The 2:10 Bentley of Callie Atkins for the former race winner is absolutely away with it. 5 seconds now. I mean, it's difficult not to say that, as Dare McCormack into the pits already. That is a very, very early pit stop, and that's not going to count as their timed pit stop.
No, that's an issue of some kind. going to take them right out of the running for this race, unfortunately. Which means Luke Whitehead now to P3, Samir Farr into 4th. And like saying, 5 seconds between Atkins and Savalainen is a very big gap to overcome. But there's an hour to go still, just as much, about 55 minutes. And we've seen Savalainen have incredible pace. So if anyone can do it, I believe Savalainen has the best shot.
Well, I'm still trying to rack my head around there, McCormack there, and apparently it's they've been bugged out because they've still got the tyres on from the last race there. So a huge thank you to Kieran Vidago for giving us the inside intel on that one, and that's very, very unfortunate if that is the case on that.
Definitely, you know, again, we talk about it. Unfortunately, these things happen. It's a virtual environment. We can't control every aspect of it. Sometimes games glitch and make mistakes. It's unfortunate for him. He was driving really well. He had a really good opportunity to score some good points. Hopefully he can get back into this race somehow, but it's very, very unlikely. He's going to have to make a second pit stop at some point. It's going to be an uphill battle for sure.
Well, he's actually disconnected from the server, so Dare McCormack taking no further part in this feature race for tonight then, and that is a huge, huge disappointment for Dare McCormack there. Luke Whitehead is going to be very happy with that one though, because that means that he is up into 3rd place then. Unisolv Linen now dropping further back, and I've got to say, Callie Atkins, the pace that they've got right now is absolutely scandalous. We're only 4 laps into the race, and that gap is almost 6.5 seconds, Simon. That is frightening pace.
But they're going to have to be very careful. If they are using too much fuel or using too much tires, they're going to be a lot slower come the pit stop phases and then maybe the end of the race as well. So the thing with these hour-long races, we never really know what strategy the drivers are running until they make their first pit stop. If Savalainen is running heavier fuel than Atkins, that might play a part later. If not, when he has play a part later when he has a shorter pit stop. If not, this is genuinely Atkins' pace and they're on a similar strategy, that is phenomenal.
I've got to be honest, I do think the latter is the case. I think this is just straight out pace that we're seeing from Callie Atkins here. What we've also got to remember is Unisolv Linen had that great start, but under real pressure here from Luke Whitehead. So again, there could be a little bit of fuel saving going on, there could be some tyre saving, but given that they've all got to come in within that same pit window, and they've all got to take on a certain amount of fuel during that pit stop, you know, it kind of minimises any sort of advantage that they would have from playing strategy. Just to bring you up to date as well with the number 7 there, you see they've Niall Reid has got 15 seconds worth of penalties. That's actually for 2 separate incidents. One with the 89 of Tom McEwing and the 6:30 of Neuwirth there on earlier laps. So again, real heavy penalties there, and Niall Reid essentially out of all contention with this race.
Yeah, you know, I'm very glad that we have these. We've mentioned it a couple of times now, but I'm very glad we have the FIA accredited stewards to crack down on incidents like this. Because if it's an avoidable contact, you really don't want to be seeing those. You know, we're trying to have a clean race, we're trying to have the most exciting race we can. So having someone make a few mistakes, cause a few accidents, it's good that he's been penalised. Unfortunate, obviously, for the other drivers and for him as well, but it's always good to see that the stewards know when to step in and say, hey, this is enough's enough, you know?
Absolutely, and you know, the punishment really does fit the crime in these situations. Obviously, lots of available options that the stewards have got. Usually it's a 5-second penalty. If it's a more serious issue, it's a 10-second penalty. They can issue a stop-go 30. I've actually seen races where drivers get disqualified for repeat offences, and unfortunately, you know, usually that's only brought out in the worst case of scenarios, and thankfully a lot of respectful driving. So I think it's safe to say we'll definitely not be seeing that one out in force tonight. But with left to go, and you've got to say that Callie Atkins is, I mean, obviously it has got to come across lap traffic. That's going to be another thing in about probably 20 minutes time, but at this current pace, Salvline and Whitehead, Foch and Home don't have an answer to the pace there.
They really don't. I do wonder, with the gap increasing by a further 2 seconds in the span of the last 5 minutes, I do wonder if maybe Kyle Atkins has a bit of a lighter car under them, because 2 seconds in let's say maybe 3 or 4 laps, if that, probably less than that, it's a bit difficult to achieve. So they might be in a different strategy, but like I said, it's really difficult to tell at this stage. You could 100% be right, and it could be just pure speed and pace.
Well, the great news, Simon, is that the website's back up and working, so we can get all our info and our knowledge up very sneakily while we're talking about this. So this is great stuff. The other bit that I wanted to check is actually the remaining races in the calendar, which is obviously we've got Donington coming up on the 12th of November, as well as Kyalami on the 3rd of December. So head over to worldproracing.com to get yourself signed up for some of those. And I've got to be honest, I quite fancy getting a little race in before the end of the year with World Pro Racing as well, Simon. So just so you can fully appreciate just the level of raw talent that you're dealing with, or rather lack of.
I'm sure you're plenty talented. But if you can't wait until November, we also have a casual race in the F3 cars around Road America this Wednesday, which I'm pretty sure there are still some available slots for. So do sign up for that if you're interested and want to just have some fun, have some clean racing, and get spoken about by 2 people absolutely trying their best. Again, is the kind way of wording that.
You've got to love it. You've got to love it. Just to go over the points that are on offer from these races. 18 points, obviously, on offer for the winner of the sprint race, and then the feature race, 25 points. But still, I mean, even second and third place, it is a good rack of points that you get just by finishing on the podium of these races. So it's definitely worth turning up for, and a brilliant series. And a huge thank you, as always, to our title sponsor HyperX for making this championship possible. But nearly 3/4 of an hour left to go. The gap is almost at 10 seconds with Callie Atkins and Jaroslav Leinen. But this is a captivating battle that we've been watching. Daniel Stramer for GT Omega RPM Esports onto the back of the 169 Aston Martin of Tom Otte. Really, Simon, throwing everything but the kitchen sink at that Aston in front, and it's just not working.
It isn't. You know, we've been seeing him darting left and right as we've been talking. It's just kind of unfortunate for him. Like, he hasn't managed to find that one corner where Tom Otte makes a bit more of a mistake, or Stramer just has that little bit extra pace so he can get an overspeed. It must be really... As a driver, how frustrating is it for Stramer to be stuck behind this one car, trying move after move after move, but just never being able to make one land?
And on that note, actually, I mean, the thing is from Stramer is, yes, he's able to stay on the back and he looks racy on Tom Otte, but quite honestly, I think that Aston Martin has got the pace to be in the position where it is just now. I think Stramer needs to get a good run out of Ravazza, which he's just done here. He's on the tail end. See, I don't understand why the Bentley has moved over so early. If it was me, I'd be right on the tail end of that Aston Martin as much as you can. Get as much speed and as much toe down that back straight as you possibly can. He moves to the inside then. This could be Stramer trying to be on late on the brakes, but the Aston just absolutely able to outpace him in a straight line there. So incredible pace there from Tom Otte in 169 Aston Martin. So 45 minutes left to go in this race here. You see a little bit of dust kicked up from Tom Otte in the Aston Martin. The car's coming through the wide left-hander here at Tosa. Stramer gets a good run out of that corner, but again, you can just see the raw pace of that Aston Martin roaring into life here on the run up to the left-hander at Piratella, leaving the Bentley in its wake. But Daniel Stramer in that GT Omega RPM Esports machine isn't taking no for an answer. Meanwhile, back at the front, Jaroslav Leinen now dropping off, and actually Luke Whitehead is trying to catch into that gap now. It was 2.5 seconds. The gap now just 1.6 seconds. So I wonder if Eunice is maybe taking a little bit, Simon, too much out of the tyres at such an early stage of the race. As the Audi gets it all wrong, Barry Antialta goes hopping over the curbs, and as predicted, straight off into your nearest available barrier.
very unfortunate for Ashton Cox there. You could see him pushing to try and catch the battle of between Otti and Stremer. Pushed it just too much, got a massive bump on the off track and just disappeared straight into the wall. Very, very unfortunate. But we now cut to the battle for fourth, which, as J-Home has a little bit of a look into turn 1. Can't quite get it done. But we saw these two battling all throughout the sprint race. They're back at it again. Classic Ferrari-McLaren battle. Any guesses who might come out on top on this one?
Well, I know how much of a Ferrari fanboy you are, Simon, so I'm going to say to be honest, I think Jimmy Home looking very, very comfortable with that McLaren. It's such a light and nimble car. But the Ferrari, I think they're very, very evenly matched. Jimmy doesn't look, from what I've seen of him, this is the first time watching him as a driver tonight. He doesn't seem the driver that's going to just fire in at any opportunity. And from your experience, Simon, I'm sure you'll have seen plenty of drivers that just dent it at any available opportunity. But I think this is going to go on for the next 15 minutes. I think if Jimmy can get his nose in front, he has got the better pace. But Samir doing a brilliant job of driving defensively as we go back to Tom Otti trying to hold on to that position from Daniel Stremer in that number 1 Bentley. He's doing the job just now, but again, you've got to wonder for how much longer.
Absolutely, you know, Daniel Stremer wants to get this. Does have the pace over Tom Otti. He wants to get this move done as he sends one very. That is. Okay. For those of you who missed that, it was a massive dive of the inside of Tom Otti. Massively outbroke himself. Maybe an accidental move, but yeah, went into the gravel and has now lost a lot of time. He's going to have to make that up. As we cut back to the battle for fourth between Four and Holm. I wanted to mention this earlier, but I think, as Daniel mentioned earlier, it is a question of that the McLaren might be a little bit faster than the Ferrari, but all throughout the sprint race, we watched Samir Four be able to defend his position and be able to hold on. So I think we might be seeing that again, and Holm just needs to wait till he has the right overspeed and wait till he has the right moment to make a move stick.
We'll certainly have a look and see that one. 42 minutes left to go in the race. Callie Atkins out in front by a commanding, well, it must be about 12 seconds. There we go, 12.3 seconds over the time screen. Savalainen opening up the gap over Luke Whitehead now, 2.8 seconds. That was down to 1.6, so that's gone up by a second as well. Again, with 40 minutes left to go, that doesn't sound like an awful lot, and that could be all changed over through the pit stops there for the Omega G performance driver. But again, another amazing performance so far from Callie Atkins in that 210 Bentley right now. Savalainen in second place, Luke Whitehead in third, Samir Foch in fourth position. It's Jimmy Holm in fifth. Tom Otti is in sixth position. Daniel Stremer in seventh. Oliver Saristo in eighth. And then you have got Cox in the Audi after that earlier contact in ninth position, with Tom McEwen in 10th. Right, well, actually, we need to give a shout out to Wojtek Neuwirth in 11th place, Kirsten Abeher in 12th position, and Gerble Kuntabo at the back of the field in 13th. But it's side by side, and Foch moves to the outside. That hands the inside line to the McLaren, just gets away with it, and Jimmy Holm back on the accelerator. But now this is starting to get a bit dicey between these two. This is starting to get a little bit fighty, and McLaren again is going to try and outbreak on the inside there. Surely that's going to be contact. They just avoid it into Villeneuve, and now we've got a race in our hands with 40 minutes left to go. The McLaren is starting to get a little bit impatient here.
Definitely, that's exactly, took the words right out of my mouth. I think impatience just getting the better of Jimmy Holm, but he clearly does have the pace. He clearly, I believe, in a lap or two will have the pace to get a move done. It's just a question of waiting for the right time to strike. He's been behind a couple of laps already. He's not going to want to stay behind too long, because the longer he's behind Samir Four, the more Whitehead's going to pull a gap on them. So he really wants to get this move done, but he has to be careful, because if he ends up in an accident, he's going to lose a lot more time than he would just following Four.
So, as a driver then, Simon, when do you think that, or how does a driver know when the right time is to make the move?
I feel like it's maybe 80% planning and 20% opportunity, because obviously you can plan a move as much as you want, but if you never know what the other driver is going to do. If Fo positions his car perfectly in the middle of the road and there's nothing Jimmy Holm can do, he can plan it for 10 laps, but he's just not going to get past. So it's about knowing where your car is faster, waiting for a time when you are actually faster than the car ahead of you, and just having the opportunity. Maybe the car in front leaves a bit too much of a gap. Maybe he runs a touch wider than he did last lap, and that's the moment you have to strike. You have to be very quick on your toes.
Just seeing there that Samir Foch a little bit further ahead of Jimmy Holm than last time round. So Jimmy not able to get the same sort of run into turn 1 as he was last time round. Also, Daniel Strumer in that number 1 Bentley has closed right back up to Tom Otte in the 169 Aston Martin. So again, that battle's still raging on. So we've got two cracking little fights going on here, as if by magic our production team switched to Tom Otte in the Aston Martin in the I love that team name, Racing Green boy. But Daniel Strumer is going to be all over him if he keeps racing like that.
Definitely, you know, running wide into the gravel is not the fastest way around the track, surprisingly. As we got down a little bit further back to the grid, we're a little bit further down the grid as we have Conzavo battling with Kirsten Abeyer. Kirsten Abeyer not able to get a move into the first corner. But again, another close battle, something to keep us interested, something to keep this race exciting, as if it wasn't already exciting enough.
Well, here you go. Ashton Cox side by side with the Tom McEwing, the 89. So this is not going to end in tears, is it? Goodness me. As neither of them predictably wants to give up. There's more contact on the way round through Piratella. It's going to be last lip breakers into Aqua Minerale. But Ashton Cox gets the move done. The Audi is basically trying to swim for its life right now. It had a decent performance earlier on, but it is just going backwards at a rate of knots here. And the Mercedes, my goodness me, I mean, 9.9 for style points there, Simon, but I'm pretty sure that suspension is going to be a bit knackered after that one.
Definitely, I wouldn't want to be those brakes after that. That absolutely just a case of outbroken himself way too much. Very good job for him to throw it across the corner, not hit anyone, and give the place back immediately. A very, very respectful response to that mistake.
Nah, I think if it's me, it's goodbye, cruel world. You just straight into the car in front of you, and then it's Alt F4 and quietly leave the Discord server. But thankfully, no such issues there for McEwing. This is back then to that battle with Strumer and
Strumer's got ahead of Otte. Strumer's got ahead of Otte. We just missed it, unfortunately. Hopefully we can get a replay in the near future. But again, we saw Strumer have the pace. We saw Tom Otte making a couple of mistakes. I think a combination of the two led to Strumer taking 6th place.
That is a turn up for the books for Strumer to get past Tom Otte then with 36 minutes left to go. The gap between lead and second place then. Kalle Atkins out by a country mile, 16 seconds ahead of Unisalv Leinen. This is the battle for fourth and fifth position even, as Jimmy Holm still trying to hold on to the back of the Ferrari, the lone wolf Ferrari of the number 88 of Samir Foch, and Jimmy Holm, the lone wolf in the McLaren, makes a move up the inside into Ravazza. That was a predictable outcome. Impatience gets the better of the McLaren, tucks back in, and he might well have undone the damage. But I think Stuart is going to have a little look here as another move into Ravazza. Late on the brakes for Strumer in the GT Omega RPM Esports machine. Still trying to fend off Tom Otte, but Tom Otte is going to have to make this happen very, very quickly if he is going to stay on the back there. But again, Simon, impatience and frustration, I think, is starting to creep into some of these drivers.
Absolutely, and you know, we saw it from the car we were just following Strumer earlier. He made the exact same mistake, braking a bit too late, running wide into Ravazza and into the gravel. Thankfully, Strumer earlier didn't make contact with Tom Otte. This time, Holm did. As I'm going to interrupt myself, as Strumer and Otte go side by side into Villeneuve. Tom Otte getting the move done. A very, very good move, but he's going to run a bit wide maybe? No, he keeps on the track. So that is Tom Otte once again retaking the move, as Holm has lost a bit of time to fall. I assume in that mistake earlier that we saw. So he's going to have to work to close the gap up again, maybe regroup himself, breathe a little, and then try another attack when he catches up.
Well, we'll find out just a couple of minutes' time. Pit windows open then, ladies and gentlemen. 10 minutes for all of the drivers to get into the pits for their mandatory pit stop. Callie Atkins decides not to do it this time by to start lap number 15. Uniself line in 17 seconds behind. A wing and a prayer off of the pace of Callie Atkins right now. Luke Whitehead down in third place, 4 seconds off of Uniself line, and Samir Foch ahead of Jimmy Holm. And Jimmy Holm's got the position then from Samir Foch, runs slightly wide down into Ravata. So Jimmy Holm finally makes his move, gets it done, and Samir Foch does a very wise thing there, jumps into pit lane. So does Luke Whitehead. So those two drivers are our first cars into pit lane. Tom Otte ahead of Daniel Stramer. That was a move and a half, by the way, that last lap round for Tom Otte to get that position back from the Bentley of Daniel Stramer there. So great to see that. Saristo in the 999 Aston Martin moves up into 6th position because obviously Luke Whitehead and Samir Foch doing their pit stops just now. But can you believe, Simon, that's half of the race done already? And it's been just a crazy 30 minutes.
It really has. You know, you say half of the race. My mind immediately goes to, how has it only been half of the race? We have another half hour of this. And as we're watching Holm get past Far, we also know that we've been given word that the incident between the two has been investigated, but no further action will be taken as Holm gave the position back to Far immediately. So, again, very respectful. I believe that's the correct decision. But then again, what do I know? I'm not an FIA accredited steward. How FIA accredited stewards are. Hey.
That is why we are up here in the virtual commentary booth, sounding like we know what we're talking about. Exactly. When the real guys that know what they're talking about are behind the production team and making all the decisions, as well as Tom Otte goes very wide, followed closely by Daniel Stramer. That's a great point actually there, Simon, because how often do we see that? The car behind following so closely into the slipstream of the car in front, that if the car in front makes a mistake, 9 times out of 10, that car behind is going to do exactly the same mistake as well.
Absolutely. It's so easy to get caught into a rhythm, especially if you're battling a driver. You want to match the braking points. You want to even push those even further. And I think that's exactly what we saw. Tom Otte pushed it a bit too far. Daniel Stramer trying to outclass him, pushed it even further, and both of them ran wide. They have to be careful. They can't do that too much. Oh, as we see, Tom Otte dive into the pits and Stramer having to dive out the way to take a different strategy. Very interesting call there, and a very late one as well.
Yeah, that really is a very late call. We've got a car leaving pit lane as well. That's Luke Whitehead is already on his way around. That's the... I'm not sure, actually. I don't think that was a car leaving the pits. That might have just been a figment of my imagination. What isn't a figment of my imagination, though, is the pace and dominance of Callie Atkins for a Mega G performance here in the 210 Bentley. This has been an exhibition drive for Callie again in this race. Did it so easily in the 30-minute race here on race 7 at Imola of the HyperX Open Series. And we obviously, part of our job here, Simon, is to encourage more drivers to take part in the championship, but it's a bit intimidating when you get the pace of Callie Atkins to think, yeah, I'm going to go and have a race against that.
Definitely, but you know, Callie Atkins wouldn't be there if they didn't practice, and we've seen them at their races before. They're always performing really well, so if you practice, you could easily challenge for the top of our leaderboards. I can't. I have no coordination and 2 eyes. Idiot. 2 broken eyes. I have very bad eyesight. But it is possible with practice if you have determination for it. And also, if you keep coming, you know, you don't get anywhere by watching someone else do something you want.
Very well said. That was almost quite motivational there, Simon. I really like that. I'm gonna have that embroidered and framed on the wall there. You don't get anywhere if you don't keep trying. Back with Uniself Lining here as we quickly switch to Daniel Stramer. So we've now got 6 cars left to pit, and surely, Simon, you've got to think that next time by they're going to be coming in for their mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, well, they have 5 minutes left to do it, so they don't want to wait too long, because obviously the longer you wait, the faster the other cars on fresher tyres and less fuel are going to be a bit faster, most probably. But if you have the pace, which, as we've seen, Callie Atkins has, they can really play their pit stop whenever they want. It's really Savalainen who has to plan his pit stop perfectly to make sure that he doesn't lose too much time to Luke Whitehead. And equally, we saw how close the battle between Holm and Fo, and equally Stramer and Otti is, they need to make sure that they're not losing time to their rival, because if they do, they're going to come out the pit stops with either a bigger gap or behind them, which is obviously what neither of them want.
Here we go then, race leader into the pits. Callie Atkins pulls the trigger into pit lane on the pit limiter, and the Bentley comes rolling down here at Imola for the mandatory pit stop, almost exactly halfway into the race, just a little bit over, and that is going to hand the provisional lead to someone who I think is going to be very, very happy with that one, Jonas Salvalainen. And I think he'll be happy if the race was red flagged right now, wouldn't he? He'd be happy to, you know, provisionally. I don't care if it's he's not done his pit stop yet. He'll just be taking a print screen right now and proving that he was in the lead of this race. Jimmy Holm will be provisionally in second place with Daniel Stramer in third, and then Siristo in the 999 in fourth place as well. But again, once all the pit stops are shuffled down, as we see Callie Atkins coming out of pit lane with the 89 behind her, or behind Callie of Tom McEwing. And Tom McEwing gets a stop go 30. That is that's not what you want to have coming out of pit lane. But realistically, I mean, Callie doesn't really have any sort of any competition right now.
No, they really don't. They're just on a different level at the moment. You know, coming out the pit stops, just a massive gap and such good pace. And I really do believe that unless something cataclysmic happens, they are going to be the dominant force in this race.
Yeah, for sure. So just making their way around just now, and Callie, really, just a brilliant performance. Again, all the way around, and Jonas Salvalainen, we're currently having a watch here in that first place. But again, it's almost like a false story here, because obviously Salvalainen, Holm and Stramer having to pit, and Salvalainen actually comes into pit just now. I wonder where Salvalainen is going to filter out.
My guess would be in between the gap set between Atkins and Whitehead, because that's round about where he was when before they pit. So it's just a question of how much time has he lost to Whitehead, if any, or how much has he gained on Whitehead, of course. It's very interesting. As we see Daniel Stramer getting overtaken by Callie Atkins. So again, immediate showing of their pace. They're just on it on a different level. Obviously Stramer hasn't even pit yet, and Atkins has surpassed him. That is really impressive.
Yeah, that is amazing pace there. 26 minutes left to go in the race, and this has just been a predictable affair in terms of the pace from Callie Atkins, but there's still so much left to be decided, as we see Daniel Stramer currently in second position, but still yet to pit. And Simon, I mean, what do you think we can expect in the final 25 minutes?
Good question. You know, we have Holm and Fo, who are very close in battle, very close on track before the pit stops, equally with Stramer and Otti, and equally further back we had Kutraha and Abayer fighting for a little bit, although I do believe Abayer might have disconnected, unfortunately, because I did not see his name. But we had these battles before the pit stops. The idea, hopefully, would be for them to continue afterwards. But as we see Silverline come out ahead of Whitehead, they may change. We don't know what strategies people run. We don't know how the pit stops are going to have affected them. So it's going to be really interesting to see where these people filter out and where they take their race from here.
So I'm just having a look here at Callie Atkins, and what I've always wondered is, I've never actually asked this question because they race in another championship that I've commentated on, but I wonder if it is the same Callie Atkins that is very well known for karting over here in the UK. It very likely is. And if it is, then they've had motorsport basically in their blood since the age of 7 years old. So we'll get an idea on that if that is the case. But Samir Foch behind Jimmy Holm here in the 777 McLaren. So the gaps now, the battles that we were watching was the likes of Holm and Foch. We then also had Tom Otte, who was fighting. Now, who was Tom Otte fighting with? Because
Daniel
Tom
Stramer.
Otte all the way back. Ah, that's right. So Stramer will pop back into to that fight there. but Tom Otte away down in 8th position now as well. And
credit
yeah,
to Neuwirth, who's somehow managed to jump Otte in the pit stop phases. They've both made a pit stop, but Otte is 2 seconds behind Neuwirth. I don't know if that's because it hasn't really loaded yet, but I don't think it has. I think that's generally where he is at the moment. And Shamir coming out of the pits now, we'll see where he filters out. Behind Home and Four, obviously, as they've already driven past. But is he going to be ahead of Otte and Neuwirth? Or is he going to be closer to Otte?
He is. So Foch is actually coming out into the first chicane down into Tamburello. So something has happened to Tom Otte there after that pit stop, either the pit stop itself or on the outlap for that, because that's dropped him behind Wojtek Neuwirth there in the 6:30, and Daniel Stramer basically out all by himself there. So he has got no one anywhere near him right now, so he'll be absolutely delighted with less than 25 minutes left to go in our feature race here. But Foch all over the back of Jimmy Home right now. Jimmy is desperate to try and get some clear light between him and the Ferrari, but it's almost karma, isn't it? It's almost payback, because this is the pressure that he was putting the Ferrari under, and Foch is delighted to be returning the favour.
Definitely, you know, the shoes on the other foot as Foch gets a little bit of a slide, loses a tenth or two, unfortunately. But yeah, the shoes on the other foot. Foch is now going to be the one has to attack. So even from Foch, the pressure's on, because it's his turn to be staring at the back of a McLaren for probably many laps with how similarly matched these two are. So it's going to be very, very fun to watch them filter out, how they filter out in this race.
Yeah, for sure. This is, or that was Cox in the 158 Audi, and again, they're going to be ruining their missed opportunities, because if it wasn't for that early on accident pushing way too hard with the Audi, then yeah, it would have been very, very different. Meanwhile, here is Wojtek Neuwirth holding on to that position from Tom Otte, the 169, giving that 630 a run for money just now. But yeah, Neuwirth doing a cracking job of defensive driving here. I wonder if Tom's going to try and do it on the inside into the corner here, but it's not going to happen whatsoever. Oh, and Neuwirth actually ends up letting Tom Otte through. I wonder if that was just a case of recognising the pace. But now Tom Otte trying to loosen off that position. I'm confused right here, Simon.
I think Neuwirth went wide out of Ravazza into the gravel trap, which meant Otte could just get past. And then Otte maybe tried to break the toe. It was very strange the way he just dodged across the track, but gave Neuwirth another run. Tries to go around the outside, can't do it into Tamburello, so Otte keeps 7th place and can now go back chasing after Stramer, maybe try and close the gap if he has the pace.
Yeah, absolutely strange one, but 20 minutes left to go in the race, and Neuwirth going very, very wide at Villeneuve, and that is almost going to be certainly it. They're coming into Toza, and it's going to be a very, very lonely race now for Wojtek Neuwirth in the B Racing Team 630 Aston Martin. Your race leader, though, Callie Atkins, is out in front of the race as a commanding grip. And he's really looked so strong for all of this race. But not just that, Simon. I mean, he absolutely commanded that first race as well, didn't he?
Absolutely. He's been driving so splendidly. And even in this race, you know, I kind of was wondering earlier if maybe he was on a different strategy to everyone else, maybe taking lighter fuel, but it doesn't seem like it. I think you are right. He's just got this incredible place. And while watching him, I do just want to mention quickly, throughout the first half of this race, we have been using she, her, and they, them pronouns for them, which we've been informed are incorrect. So many apologies to him. Unfortunately, the joys of a virtual race means we don't know their face, so we were confusing him for someone else.
Well, unfortunately, that's also on me, because I've got a very good close friend called Callie who is female, and unfortunately, yeah, I just maybe slipped into that one. So I do apologise, Callie. After doing a little bit of research, yeah. So we all make mistakes, and being Scottish, unfortunately, I get a passport for that sort of thing. We're allowed to put your names, identities, everything you can possibly think of, because we just don't get trusted with any sort of information at all, really. But that's by the by, because Callie Atkins already up to his first back marker, and I've got a feeling that might be the 999 of Saristo, and it's not, that's Gergely Consabo already. That's the way you get put a lap down, my goodness me. So Consabo going to have to move out to let Callie Atkins through, does so, and absolutely no issue whatsoever there. So Callie Atkins puts a lap down on 9th place as well. And yeah, it's brilliant stuff then. So Eunice Salvlainen in that 2nd place. I mean, all that Eunice can do is really just consolidate that podium position. Luke Whitehead is nowhere to be found right now. And then Jimmy Holm in the 777. I don't think Jimmy Holm is going to be of any threat to Luke Whitehead.
No, I don't think so either. It is a smaller gap to Holm than Whitehead has to Savolainen, which I'm pretty sure he's not going to be the happiest about. But it does seem like the field is just spreading out a little bit. Some of the battles we had earlier are just opening up. This is probably, looking at the gaps, the closest we have on track so far. But Samir Ford does seem to be dropping back a little, maybe because of a mistake, maybe just doesn't have the pace on these tires anymore. It's going to be interesting to see, like, again, we have another 20 minutes to go, 19 now. These gaps are going to close, they're going to change. We've seen so many times throughout the last half hour of this race and the half hour of the previous one. The gaps never stay the same for more than 5 minutes, so don't go anywhere. We're sure there's going to be a battle in absolutely no time.
Well, we will find out very, very shortly. Less than 20 minutes left to go, and this time has absolutely flown by as Wojtek and Neuwirth comes to put, that is the Aston Martin, I think that is Saristo in the 999, another lap down. Or was that Otte, actually? Surely that wasn't. It was
Tom Otte.
What is going on with these two? I really don't understand. It's like they're playing musical chairs. I wonder actually if Tom Otte has got a technical problem, and that's why he's had to move out the way. So he's just trying to undo the damage that's there. But that car running very, very slowly indeed.
Definitely. I'm not sure. Technical issues, maybe. Could also be human error, maybe spun, hit a wall, has some damage, but it's really difficult. If he comes into the pits at the end of this lap, maybe that will give us a bit of a clue. But yeah, very, very strange. He's in 8th now. Probably over time, as you see, Kaliakin's dive out of the way of him. It does look like Konstraho's going to get past him any minute now. He's going so slowly around this corner. It's supposed to be horribly painful for him. Yeah, very, very unfortunate for him. Whatever issue he's suffering with is clearly taking him out of any running of a decent position. As the Konstraho goes around the outside into, I forgot the name of this, Aqua Minerale.
Yeah, that's it. That's absolutely spot on.
I'm horrible with names, though.
You don't think it's fuel, do you? Surely not. Surely he's put enough fuel in it.
Not this early. Unless it's a glitch, you couldn't have... Not this early. Right? And well, like I said, we'll see if... We'll see if he comes to the pits. If he does, maybe it could be fuel, maybe it could be damage. But, yeah, it's a very strange thing. It also does seem to be kind of back up to speed now, maybe? Maybe just the way the corners are.
I wonder if maybe it's a pedal issue, actually. That would make sense if it's maybe an acceleration issue. He's certainly not going into the pits, so it's definitely not a car-related in terms of like the car itself, but it could be a hardware issue. The accelerator would make sense if that's the case, if it's maybe just not going down all the way. So we'll have a look there. But, I mean, that's cost a lot of time there for Tom Otte. Drops him down all the way down into 9th position. Meanwhile, here comes Samir Forsh under pressure from the McLaren. Tries to get it up the inside Jimmy Holm, but that actually means that Samir Forsh has actually got the move done on Jimmy Holm, because Jimmy Holm was up in front. So that Ferrari, after all that patience, has made it pay off, and Jimmy Holm getting a poor exit from Ravazza on that last lap round. And yeah, that's a turn up for the books. That's some turn of pace from Samir Forsh.
Yeah, the last time we cut to these two, Samir Forsh was a second behind Holm, and now he's ahead by half a second. So good job. I guess is the most I could say about that. Yeah, I don't know if Holm made a mistake. I don't know if Ford just had found some speed from somewhere. Maybe jumped back a little to conserve tires and fuel and brakes to then go hard attack for a couple laps. But yeah, he's in the P4 and really, really well done. So now we get Tom Otte trying to get back to the speed, trying to look for a way past Konstraho. Gonna be difficult for him now. He's really much on damage limitation, and he has to hope that his pedal issues, if that's indeed what it was, or his issues in general, don't come back and don't plague him anymore in this race.
Well, we'll certainly find out. Here is a replay then of Jimmy Holm. This is how he lost the position to Samir Forsh. This is going to be on the run down to Variante Alta then. And I wonder if he's just taken too much of the curb. Yep, the car starts to spin around. keeps a hold of it though, so very, very good car control there. Hands the position to Samir Forge, but again, brilliant, brilliant stuff there from Jimmy Holm.
And we come back to them side by side again. Those two, that battle is not over, and it's not going to be over for a while.
They are absolutely taking it to each other just now, down into Ravata. I wondered actually if that was maybe still the replay, but you're absolutely spot on there. That was live footage for the two of them, and Samir Foch still just ahead of Jimmy Holm. But Jimmy Holm much closer now on the exit of Ravata. This is a brilliant run up through the start-finish straight. I wonder actually if we can go on board with Jimmy Holm in just a second there, because they're on the run down to the first couple of corners there. This is the battle then for 8th, 9th and 10th position. Here we go. Jimmy Holm still behind, so we're on board. This is again brilliant, brilliant view from the McLaren here on the tail end of that Ferrari. Again, a very measured performance from Jimmy Holm, because he could just fire it in, but he's not going to. Looks to the outside of Tosa. The Ferrari has the inside line. He's going to try and get the cut back here, but that is a measured performance from both the Ferrari and from the McLaren with just 13 minutes left to go. It's a run up the hill then through towards Piratella, the sweeping left-hander. Who's going to break first? It's going to be the Ferrari. The McLaren gets more of an inside line, but the Ferrari gets a better line out of it down the run through towards Aqua Minerale, this wonderful sweeping double right-hander complex. Then you want to tuck it nice and early on the inside there. Great run from the McLaren. The Ferrari gets better traction, but when outside track limits you have to fear. Through up into Variante Alta, and again this is where the McLaren makes all of its time here, as long as it can avoid the curves on the outside there. Gets a good run. This is it now. Here we go onto the exit of Variante Alta. They're side by side then, and surely this is going to be Jimmy Holmes for the taking around the outside of Samir Foch. He gets it done. That is a beautiful manoeuvre, and that again is 4th place.
What an incredible battle these two are having, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be over. So Samir does seem to have a bit of a worse run. He's not going to have a chance into turn 1 unless something changes. But yeah, an absolutely incredible move from Jimmy Holm. As we cut to Otti trying to move up Straho off the inside of nope, not Tosa. I've forgotten the name.
Yeah, what's Tosa?
Oh, I am correct. Hurrah! But yeah, still on the outside as they're coming up to the next corner. Gotta be a move. Do you think he'll get it done? He does. Up the inside, but where's can Straho fight back? And can Ashton Cox, who's not out of it, he's still right there, right on the bumper. He's also going to try and have a look, try and profit from this in as many ways as he can.
Yeah, Tom Otte is likely going to just leave these two for dead right now, but Kunsabo has got Cox all over his tail right now in the 158 Audi. A very, very fast car, but a very difficult car to control. But Kunsabo just not able to get to grips with that Mercedes, and the Audi gets a great run out of that corner there, out of Variante Alta. This is the run down to Ravata. Then what's the Audi going to do? Thinks about making a move to the outside, to the inside, but Gerkele Kunsabo managing to hold on to that 9th position. He goes very, very wide in the Audi now. This is going to be a great chance for the Audi. Gets the run up through the start-finish straight. He's going to have the inside line here. Here comes the Mercedes though to the outside. It's Cox and Kunsabo. Cox in the Audi is going to have the inside line. Surely he's going to have this moved on. But the Mercedes, oh, there's a little bit of contact there, and the Mercedes wisely decides to move out of it there. Absolutely going to guarantee you that was not deliberate there, because the two cars just tried to move into the same bit of tarmac there, but that was very, very scary on the brakes into that first corner.
Definitely, you know, it's one of those situations both cars want to be in as close to the middle of the road as they can, because that's the way they're going to, it's the best place for them for speed and for defending / attacking. But yeah, not intentional contact, unfortunate, but a great move from Ashton Cox. Really, really well done. And also, has to be said, from Tom Otte, who got past moments before that. And just, yeah, a bad lap for Kunstraho, unfortunately, losing 2 positions, down into 10th, as David Otte has a drive-through penalty. That's going to shake up this battle. David Otte is going to have to take an extra turn to the pits, possibly for track limits, but...
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is for Simon. It would make sense given how, you know, he went wide a couple of times with that pedal issue earlier on, so that effort of getting himself ahead of Cox and getting himself ahead of Kun Sabo has been absolutely wiped out right now, and Otte is going to be very, very lucky if he finishes inside the top 10 at this rate. Talking of 10 minutes left to go in the second race of the evening here from the HyperX Open Series, race number 7 here at Imola. Is David Christie and the commentary booth alongside Simon Zammit, bringing you all of the coverage tonight. What a race we have had here on World Pro Racing. And as always, if you want to get yourself involved in the community, head over to World Pro Racing and get yourself out on the track. We want to be talking about you, ladies and gentlemen. WorldProRacing.com, and check us out on all the relevant social media platforms. Whether you're an amateur or whether you are a seasoned veteran here at Assetto Corsa Competition or R Factor 2 or any of the other platforms that we cover here at World Pro Racing, we'd love to see you on the grid. Keep your ears out for a very special pro level RF2 event that we are going to be launching very, very soon. So keep your ears and eyes open on our Facebook pages, Instagram pages, Twitter and TikTok as well, if I can convince Justin to get on there and do some dances for us. 9 minutes left to go, Simon. As we see Uniself, is that Uniself Lane? Sorry, I was completely lost there. Eunice is in the main picture, but that was Tom Otte, and I think Tom Otte has given up on this race.
Unfortunately, you can't really blame him. You know, his stage has gotten bad to worse, from a hardware issue most likely, to then trying to recover, getting a driver to penalty, mostly because of having to go wide because of his issue. Very, very unfortunate for him. Obviously, we'd like, as Ashton Cox also gets a drive-through penalty. So Kun Straho is going to get both of those positions that he lost back over time. Again, these drivers not being a bit too handsy with the track limits there.
Well, I'm just saying in YouTube chat, there's support for Justin doing some TikTok action rolling in. I think that makes it gospel. We have to make it happen. So between you and me, Simon, it's we're going to have to force the issue on that.
I mean, who are we to deny the people what they want? You know,
it's public demand.
Exactly.
You know, that we are here to serve our audience, and that's exactly what they want to see. Justin Mifsud on TikTok. So I'm just trying to rack my brains on what dances we could, what trends we can possibly get him into. While we ponder that one, we'll certainly find out and let you know. But 7.5 minutes left to go in the race. Unisalv Lyron, bit of a lonely race for him there in second place, ahead of Luke Whitehead. That's about 10 seconds that he's got of a gap. But again, a very strong performance from Eunice. And Simon, you have to think of, you know, how frustrated he must be thinking what could have been in that first race.
Definitely, you know, he's so quickly gotten into second place, so in this race. So if he hadn't had those issues earlier, he really would have kind of profited from his pace and his racecraft, because he's absolutely doing a phenomenal job in this. As I have dancing Justin behind me. Very distracting, thank you, Justin. But yes, that is a sneak peek of what we can get on TikTok if we convince him to get an account. Which
hashtag Justin on TikTok. That needs to be a campaign that we get started tonight, and I'll be jumping back in the replay and making a gif out of that little thing. Don't you worry about that.
And if you have any suggestions for what you would like to see Justin dance to next, please drop them in the comments below. I'm sure we'll have tons of fun reading them.
This is a juggernaut now. This is what we've started. Justin on TikTok. See, it's already happened. There we go.
Yes.
Right, Simon, can you believe? I mean, we're almost 2 hours into this broadcast. In fact, no, we're 2 hours 15 into this broadcast, and Callie Atkins has just wiped the floor with every single minute of it.
I was going to say 2 hours and 50 minutes into this broadcast, and I think there's been a grand total of maybe 3 laps Callie Atkins hasn't led, which is
all of the practice laps.
I mean, yeah, okay, those, but I'm talking about in the races. He's led every single lap, obviously, massively helped by his pole position, but you have to have the speed to get that pole position, so he's just done such an incredible performance. It's honestly one of those where you look at it and just go, you have to just say, well done. Like, who could challenge him? His closest rival is about 20 seconds behind, last time I checked, when Savalainen crosses the split marker. We'll give you an exact number, but yeah, just an incredible performance. Absolutely the definition of dominance.
Yeah, certainly is. Back to Gergely Kunsabo, and that looming figure behind him is the 100 of Unisalvaline, and the Grip Hacks engineering driver currently on his own today. The blue flags wave, and Gergely Kunsabo moves out the way of the Mercedes driver. Bentley have been just so strong in this race today. Callie Atkins there out front by about 30 seconds as we head into the final 5 minutes of this race. It's been a lights to flag, brilliant performance from Callie Atkins. Unisalvaline, and again in his lonely race there in second place there. Luke Whitehead equally lonely in third, with Jimmy Holm out in fourth. Not so lonely because Samir Foch has been all over the back end of that car again, and those two have just been knocking lumps out of each other for the past 10 laps.
Absolutely, you know, we said earlier, you know, I think you mentioned that the battle would go on for at least 15 minutes. 55 minutes into the race, and they're still within a second of each other, so yeah, it's an absolutely incredible battle. And even though there is a bit more of a big gap and they're not, you know, diving out of line and taking moves at each other each and every corner, the pressure isn't off, because Daniel Holm makes one mistake, he runs wide out of one corner, and Foch's going to be right there challenging, just as he was 10 minutes ago, you know? It's not over, and it's not going to be until that checkered flag drops.
Really isn't. And as always, if you are over in the homelands of Malta and you fancy getting yourself involved in this and you think, I don't really have a simulator, I don't have any of the equipment, pop down to World Pro Racing, get yourself booked in, and you can jump on one of the simulators there and actually take part in these events with other people across the wonders of Tinternets. Simon, being our man on the inside there in Malta, what is the sim racing scene like there in Malta?
It's pretty decent. Obviously, Malta hosts a massive iGaming industry in general, but when it comes to esports specifically, obviously World Pro Racing, one of the most professional and well-classed companies doing
Who is that fine
racing.
fellow in the inside picture there, Simon?
That is hopefully the next meme, and our mascot, and also the love of my life. That's who he is. So he fulfills many positions in this company, you see. But yeah, as I was saying, you know, the esports scene in Malta is so special. We've just finished a Malta National GT3 Championship, which ran for 8 weeks and had some incredible talent. The winner being Mikel Macheta, who we don't have here today, unfortunately. But again, absolutely incredible driver. All 9, I believe, there were 9 races. Just amazing talent, and we had the luxury of hosting them here for every race, which was very entertaining to see. So yeah, it's a really good at the moment, and it's only going to get better, which is the most exciting thing about it.
Simon, I've got to be honest, I don't know where to take this conversation after the inset picture. I'm still kind of floored by the beauty, and we're talking about dominance. I don't think you can get any more dominant than the NPC in pit lane there that we saw picture in picture. But talking of dominance, it's been an absolutely amazing performance from Callie Atkins of Omega G Performance in the 210 Bentley. Lightning 482 on YouTube saying that this is the most dominant display of the season so far by Atkins. You could very well be right, because it's been a case, Simon, that you know, Atkins could have easily just taken the foot off the gas, but it never has it looked like that at any point of the race. Instead, almost wanting to push as far as he possibly can to extend the gap as big as it possibly could be.
Definitely. I think at this point, you know, he's 99%, I'm pretty sure he's on the final lap of the race now, so I'll finish this point quickly. But I think maybe 10-20 minutes into this lap, he was pretty certain that he was, if nothing happened, if there were no cataclysmic accidents, he was going to win. And from then on, he's just done everything he can to make a statement with this win, you know. 30 seconds ahead at the moment is phenomenal. To get 30 seconds ahead in an hour-long race is not an easy feat, and he's made it look easy, which is just massive credits to him. Absolutely stunning. It's
been a very strong performance, to say lightly, from Callie Atkins. I'm going to take a different opinion. I think that Cali got across that line before the clock counted down. So I think this is going to be the next lap is going to be the final lap, but we'll find out very, very shortly. Down the run down towards Ravazza, 30 seconds left to go as they come through Variante Alta just now, and then through into to Ravazza. I wonder maybe just ease it off the throttle there to make sure the time runs out, but it doesn't take anything away. In fact, actually, I don't think Cali would, given the performance that Cali has done so far.
I was thinking that myself.
I was going to want to just push it, but 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is going to be over surely, and we'll see in just a second.
Yeah.
But across the line, there we go. Checkered flag comes out for Cali Atkins, and it's a win then for Cali. Uniself Linen comes across in second place in just a second, but into the grass and celebrating in style there, Simon.
Definitely. You know, you mentioned that Una Savalainen is going to have come across the line. He's got another corner to go. Like, we'd like to put on the kettle while we wait. It was an absolutely superb drive from Cali Atkins. He deserves every credit and then some for what he's done today. Just incredible.
An exemplary performance from Cali Atkins. Uniself Linen in second place. Luke Whitehead finishes in third, comes across line just now. Jimmy Holm is going to take fourth position, we hope, from Samir Fosh. Well, I say we hope, it's no vested interest either way. Jimmy Holm comes across the line despite a ding-dong battle with the Ferrari all the way through. Really enjoyable to watch that. Samir Fosh finishes in fifth position. Daniel Stromer in sixth position. It's going to be Wojtek Neuwirth in seventh. Gergely Kuntabo in eighth. You've then got Cox in ninth place. Oliver Saristo in 10th. And right at the back, get a stop-go 10-second penalty. It's a bad day to worse for Tom Otte. Tom has done something to upset the sim racing gods, and that just rounds off a pretty horrid day for the 169 Aston Martin driver. But Cali Atkins comes in successful. But I was just about to round off, Simon, there, saying Cali Atkins leaves this week with 40 points out in the bag for that one.
Yeah, an incredible drive. You know, he pole position, 2 race wins. What more could you ask for? I mean, I don't know if we have the fastest lap metrics, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has both of those as well. Maybe a toss-up between him and Savalainen. But yeah, just incredible drive, and untouchable is the word I would use to describe that drive. Just unbeatable.
We don't use it lightly, but I mean, to take it on like first race, to do the performance that Cali did was absolutely amazing. But to do that in race 2 as well, and by such a commanding margin, was really good. We're going to have interviews coming up very shortly. I believe Luke Whitehead is going to be in for a chat with us, Simon. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be very happy with the performance that he did. Definitely.
We'll be going, so just as a minor recap, in terms of obviously the drivers receive points for both races. So Cali Atkins, winning both races, has won this event. But Luke Whitehead has finished second with 32 points, and Savalainen, also with 32 points, finishes in third because Whitehead on finishing position takes second place, which is incredible. This is what we love to watch, you know. Equal on points, second and third. That is stunning. But yeah, we will have the interviews with Savalainen first up. When he's ready, we will change to that.
Well, I believe he's in the room, so Uniself Linen, a very good evening. That could have been a completely different race 1. What on earth happened?
Hello. Being spikes, didn't want to kill anyone, so just did those.
Obviously a very frustrated outcome, but you were on fire in that second race. We'll go back to the first race though, because you had a lot of work to do to get your way back through that field. How difficult was it cutting through that traffic?
It was pretty easy at the end, but it was hard at the start and easy at the end. And
then in race number 2, you got yourself up into that second place, and then it was kind of lonely for you for the majority of the race because you didn't really have any fight after you got that position from Whitehead.
Yeah, it was pretty lonely. I didn't expect that kind of pace. So yeah, a bit surprised.
On that note then, as a esports driver, what keeps you motivated when you're just essentially doing hot laps? Because you're not going to be closing in on Callie Atkins, but ultimately you're not getting any pressure from Luke Whitehead. Is it easy to stay in the zone?
No, it's pretty hard. Easy to make mistakes.
Excellent stuff. Well, sorry, Simon, on you go.
I think I'm going to say the same thing as you. You didn't make any mistakes. You drove really well in both races. Unfortunate for your technical difficulties in the first one, but really, really well done.
Yeah, thank you.
There we go then. Jonas Savlainen, third place overall for tonight. And Simon, I mean, Jonas is obviously going to be very frustrated after that first race there. There's not really much more. I mean, technical issues happen all the time in esports championships. But again, it's just keeping the foot in and keeping that concentration going, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, you know, it clearly worked out for him in the end. You know, he did enough work in race 1 to get enough points to still be in our top 3, which is something that very few drivers can say. You know, he had such a terrible beginning to race 1. It's very easy to get demoralized and not try as hard, but he didn't. He came back with a vengeance both in race 1 to finish in the points, and then again in race 2 to finish second place by a considerable margin. I think he's done really, really well for himself today.
Well, next up to have a chat with us, second place overall tonight, Luke Whitehead, joint on points with Jonas Savlainen, but 2 third places. And Luke, good evening. A good, solid performance tonight.
Yeah, not too bad actually. Not bad at all. I'm still disappointed that I couldn't be closer in race 2. I went too high on the rear pressures and the balance of the car was just off completely. And I mean, coming into the race, I was under no illusion that it would be difficult. I'd been struggling for pace sort of in the practice that I did. But yeah, it was annoying really. It was very, very annoying. I think Dara had even worse issues than I did, and we were in the same call for most of it. So yeah, we both made the same mistake, but he just came off a lot worse. I think he suffered a game bug as well, so unfortunate from him.
And Kieran Vidago was in the YouTube chat basically giving us the insight that you and him were working together. And we raised our suspicions on that one because the two of you were fighting it out. But again, I mean, how difficult was it trying to hold on to Callie Atkins?
It was impossible. If being completely honest, and yeah, as you say, Kieran was in my Twitch. I was streaming it on my Twitch, and he was in the chat and in your chat as well, I think. Yeah, like me and Dara said before the race, you know, we were practicing for SRO next week, both in the Mercedes. You know, we said before the race the Bentley is going to be insanely fast because the Bentley is it's the best car on race fuel. It's incredibly quick. So we knew that with a decent driver in Kalai, he'd be really, really fast, and that showed. I mean, he just absolutely disappeared. And couple that in race 2 with the issues that me and Dara had, we just didn't have a chance. So it was unfortunate, but Kalai drove a good race, to be fair on him. So I can't be too bitter.
Let me ask, when you have a race like this where you can, as from what you're saying, you understand that you're maybe not on the pace and that Kalai was kind of the class of the field, how do you come back for that for the next round for the HyperX series? How do you
Yeah, well, I like as I say, I don't tend to get too worked up over it in the long term. Obviously, it's irritating and disappointing to have a race that's that difficult. Like the car was trying to spin me out every single corner, so that was more than frustrating, I think. So yeah, but with regards to coming back, I don't change anything in my approach. I just work a bit harder and learn from any mistakes that I made. If there are mistakes in the setup or mistakes in the pressures, I just learn from them and build upon that. I'm still relatively inexperienced in terms of I've not been on the game that long, so I'm still learning every single race, and it's key to just keep building those blocks to eventually be winning more consistently.
Well, I mean, 2 third places, you're doing a fantastic job, especially if you haven't had too much experience compared to some of the other drivers. So well done to you. You've driven amazingly today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So there we go then. Luke Whitehead, who finishes second overall out of tonight, and on to the race winner. And I want to say race winner. There was never any question really. Although we
Race
do.
Destroyer.
It was just sort of like a day out of the park, and it turns out I might have butchered the name for the entirety of this race. So I've been saying it's Callie Atkins. I apologise if that's not the case, so apologies. But Mr. Atkins, a very, very good evening. What do you have to say for yourself after a complete stranglehold on both races tonight?
Oh, I'm speechless, to be honest. I knew the Bentley would be amazing in the race, just not that amazing, to be honest. Struggled in practice a bit, but luckily Marcus Littlewood helped me out with setup, and we made a really good setup, and we managed to bring that on to quali, the race, and just dominate throughout.
What do you think actually led to that? Because I mean, it's one thing to be strong in the race, but I mean that was just absolute dominance tonight.
Obviously, I think a few issues with Luke Whitehead and I think it's Dare McCormack. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong, but they did have a few issues, not their fault. But I managed to stay calm throughout and managed to be as consistent as possible to be able to take the win.
And then obviously you've taken the 2 wins tonight. It's been a fantastic outing for you this season. You got a cracking second place last time out at Zolder as well. Looking through to the rest of the season, you must be feeling very, very comfortable and confident as well.
Yeah, I'm very confident in my team, everyone who supports me, and that just shows on track.
So, obviously, going into the next HyperX round, you're going to have a minor deduction in points since you finished first place. How do you approach that going into the next round? Is it a bit intimidating, or is you just something you have to deal with like any other issue you can have in a race weekend?
Just another issue really. Just have to make sure I win all the races. Have to make sure the setup is on point, so I'm not sliding throughout the race. I'm using tires, but just have to stay calm, because if I lose my head, I'm gonna make mistakes, and that's gonna lose me positions, maybe seconds, tenths. They all add up in the end. So just gotta stay calm and consistent throughout.
Well, thank you for telling us. You've been incredible today. I think it bears repeating, but well done. Phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you. I'd also like to say a massive thanks to Omega G Performance for having me in their team. They've brought me along really well, being the most inexperienced driver, to be honest, in esports. Against all the people I race against has been an amazing journey. I'm so happy to be a part of this team. I'd like to say massive thanks to the sponsors of Omega, so G Performance, of course, main sponsor, Free Drap. I'd like to say massive thanks to Tim Blacksmith, who supports me in my racing career. I'd also like to say massive thanks to my parents, who've been supporting me consistently as well.
Brilliant stuff. Well, Callie Atkins, thank you so much for joining us tonight. A huge performance, and we almost feel quite blessed to have been watching that tonight.
Thank you.
There we go then. So, Simon, it's in the bag. Race 7 here at Imola is done and dusted of the HyperX Open Series. As always, if you want to get involved and join us here at World Pro Racing, we'd love to see you at worldproracing.com in all of the events. We've got the F3 at Road America coming up next week on Wednesday. I believe I'm going to be joining you again for that. And then Friday, 12th of November, we are round 8 at Donington. But Simon, I mean, just briefly tonight, what a set of races we had.
Yeah, we really have. It's just, I was trying to, while we're talking, I was trying to think of like a standout moment from the race. How can you pick one? Like, if I had to really try, I think the moves that who was it? I think it was Otti made into the Villeneuve chicane, or the Villeneuve like left-right system. Such good moves. Obviously the battle between Foch and I've forgotten his last name. Is it Holt? No, that's incorrect.
Close enough, I think. Yeah, Jimmy and McLaren.
Yeah. I feel so bad. I've forgotten his name. I know the first 3 letters, so that's not enough. But anyway, those two had an incredible battle. Obviously, we had some unfortunate disconnections and some unfortunate tech issues, but it's just so much fun. If you had to pick, maybe not favorite, maybe let's go with standout moment. What would you go for?
I think Unisalv Leinen coming out of Toza on the first race. I think if that technical issue hadn't have happened, I think we would have had a very, very different race one. Callie Atkins, obviously, it's difficult when you get a driver who dominates a win like that, because I feel like we don't ever give them the credit that they deserve. To build up a 30-second lead in an hour race is just absolutely ridiculous pace, and an amazing win there for a set of wins for Callie. But I do think if Eunice had a different outcome in that race one, would have been a very, very different race too there, Simon.
I agree. I think I still think Callie would have won, and I still think he would have won in quite dominantly. But I think there would have been more of a challenge from Savalainen, and also the battle between McCormick and Whitehair would have been a bit more interesting, because he would have definitely been poking around there, possibly outpacing them. He had some just incredible speed. So yeah, it's kind of a shame we were robbed of that, but at the same time, we got to see him battling through the field and the incredible race 2 performance. So no regrets is the simplest way to describe that.
Another night in the bag then. A huge thank you as always to our commercial partners, to Gaming Malta, to AMD, to HyperX for making this championship possible, to GT Omega Racing and Thrustmaster, as well as our broadcast partners at Esports Television, Motorsport.tv and TVM Sports. So you lovely people out there on YouTube and Twitch as well. I've been David Christie. He has been Simon Zammit. Join us next month for round 8 on behalf of everybody here at World Pro Racing. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Before you go, I will just add, join us also on Wednesday for the casual race with the Formula 3 cars around Road America.
There we go.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.
Senna was a god. No one could even dream to follow him.
I'm from a very humble background.
The role of women at that time were really difficult.
This is so dangerous. You're risking not only your life, but also my life.
World Pro Racing, where sim racing becomes real.